Hi, beautiful people, and happy Thursday. So, today I want to give a little disclaimer before we even get started. I do not know everything. I just have questions. I just have thoughts and questions. And this conversation is nuanced. I know a lot of us thinking like black and white, like either it is or it isn't. I want to make room for nuance, for exploration, for curiosity. And I'm unlearning black and white thinking, and I'm interrogating my own faith, my own spirituality. I'm a spiritual person. And yeah, I have questions. So, hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I hope that you're doing fantastic today. Yay. Hi, Marissa. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. Good morning. Good morning. So what started this conversation? What sparked this thought? I've been, I guess, like kind of keeping my ear to the spiritual community for a long time. And while I do think there are a lot of helpful things that we can find in the spiritual community, while I think that there are times that these these things are communicated as truth, can be applied to our circumstances and situations, I also think that it has the potential to be harmful. And I also think that we can weaponize things that were created with good intentions to harm people. And so that's what I really want to talk about today. So yeah, and I'd be interested to hear different things that you think, your experiences, your thoughts, your opinions, and even if you have any wisdom to share, this is a safe space to share it. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Yay. Okay. Now that I got that disclaimer out the way, let's get started. Hi, Melissa Forbes. Good morning. Good morning. Or afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. Hi, Makaru. Hello. Hello. Yes. Hi, Crystal White. Hello. Hi, the other MJ. It's good to see you. Hi, MJ. That's funny. Hi. Hi, Etta J. Hello. Hello. Oh, I've never looked into spiritual bypassing. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so spiritual bypassing, I learned from Doctora Rosales, forget her other last name, but yes, you introduced me to her, Marissa. And she and her work like introduced me to spiritual bypassing, and I kept seeing it on Instagram, people talking about like, oh, we're just spiritually bypassing things. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And so I'm gonna talk about that too, because I really want us to really look at what spiritual bypassing is and how we weaponize it and use it against other people and ourselves. Okay, and ourselves. So yes, yes, thank you. Let's see. Hi, Danielle. Hello. Hi, Maya Spikes Wrights. Hello. Hi, Elemental Witchin. Hello. Yes, look at you. You're on time. You are on time. Hi, Child of 83. It's good to see you. Hi, Anita. Hi. Yvonne. Hello. Thank you for being here. Yes. Chica, it's always good to see you. I love seeing your cartwheels into the chat. That makes me happy. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Marissa Price. Yes, Doctora Rosales Mesa. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Hi, Anicia. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hi, Jamile. Thank you. Okay, good. Looking and sounding great. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, hello, all things Delicia. Hello, good morning. All right. Okay. That's funny. We on CP time. We are all on time. Exactly. I was late too. So it is what it is. Yay. Hi, Lexi. Hello. Hello. Yes. We are not sticklers for time here. It is what it is. We take our time, you know. We're gentle with each other and ourselves. But yes, yes. All right. So let me pull up the definition of spiritual bypassing. Here we go. So this article was found and I'm gonna share my screen so you all can see as well. Let's see, share screen. I always I feel like in the age of COVID, it's like the soundtrack is, hold on, let me share my screen. Hold on one second. There we go. But yeah, let me share. Okay, yes. Spiritual bypassing as a defense mechanism by Kendra Cherry, MSCD. Okay, this is her. All right, so spiritual bypassing describes a tendency to use spiritual explanations to avoid complex psychological issues. So this term was first coined during the early 1980s by a transpersonal psychotherapist named John Wellwood in his book Toward a Psychology of Awakening. According to Wellwood, spiritual bypassing can be defined as a tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. So again, spiritual bypassing can be defined as a tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks, right? So yes. So as a therapist and Buddhist teacher, Wellwood began to notice that people, including himself, often wielded spirituality as a shield or type of defense mechanism Rather than working through hard emotions or confronting unresolved issues, people would simply dismiss them with spiritual explanations, right? While it can be a way to protect the self from harm or to promote harmony between people, it doesn't actually resolve the issue. Instead, it merely glosses over a problem, leaving it to fester without any true resolution. Okay, so here's some signs of spiritual bypassing. So, avoiding feelings of anger, believing in your own spiritual superiority as a way to hide from insecurities, believing that traumatic events must serve as a learning experience or that there is a silver lining behind every negative experience. Okay, so y'all know what it is, right? I feel like we've all experienced it, but we didn't have the language. I know that I didn't have the language before. So hopefully y'all can see this. But yes, okay. Let's see, believing that spiritual practices such as meditation or prayer are always positive, extremely high, often unattainable idealism, feelings of detachment, focusing only on spirituality and ignoring the present, only focusing on the positive or being overly optimistic. So I talk a lot about toxic positivity. It's the same kind of thing. Projecting your own negative feelings onto others, pretending that things are fine when they are clearly not, thinking that people can overcome their problems through positive thinking, and thinking you must rise above your emotions, or using defense mechanisms such as denial and repression. Spiritual bypassing is a superficial way of glossing over problems in a way that might make us feel better in the short term, but ultimately solves nothing and just leaves the problem to linger on, right? So an example, we've all heard this, right? Following the death of a loved one, people tell surviving relatives that the deceased is in a better place and that it was all a part of God's plan, right? That does nothing for us. Another example, a woman is angry and upset about something that someone else has done. When she tries to share her feelings, her friends tell her to stop being so negative. Okay? Another example, a relative regularly crosses boundaries and behaves in ways that are hurtful or harmful to other family members. Rather than confront this behavior, those who have been harmed feel that they need to repress their anger and remain overly tolerant. Okay, so I think those are pretty good examples of spiritual bypassing just to set the foundation so that we understand what we're talking about. I feel like we all have probably experienced some level of this, especially like around death. I mean, I also think that people don't necessarily do it to be harmful. I just think that generally people don't know how to actually offer something helpful, right? Death, we're talking about loss, divorce, heartbreak. These are hard emotions. These are hard things to deal with. And in trying to offer comfort, I think that sometimes we can be harmful because we're kind of just like, don't worry about it. God has a plan. This is all a part of God's plan, right? Everything happens for a reason. Find the silver lining. Think highly. Have a high vibe, right? It's all about, the spirituality can also always be about like high vibration, as if like we have to be positive to get positive things in our lives. Okay, so yes, so yay. Oh, yay. Hold on one second. Yep. And someone's not on mute. Yes. Someone's not on mute. It's so funny because when we say that, it's like we know that someone's not, we know who it is, but we don't want to call them out because, you know what, we don't want people to feel, we don't want people to feel away. Hold on one second. Sorry, y'all. Let me not apologize for needing to drink water. Okay. But yes. Black people's time is spherical. Ooh, I love that. We hear when we hear, period. Absolutely. Hi. Oops. Hi, Kimmy Rochelle. Hello. Hi, Aphrodite. Hello. Hey, what's up, everyone? Finally glad to catch you live. I'm glad that you're here. Hi, St. Cloverton James Jones. It's always good to see you. Hi, Mercy's Journey. And also how to work through some of those difficult emotions. Absolutely. Yvonne says, yes, please don't doll out platitudes in the face of real deal issues. That part. Like, we try to, oh yes, no worries, dole out. Yeah. No worries. We often don't know how to hold space for sorrow. We don't know how to hold space for harm. And it's complicated, right? And so we try to undercomplicate a situation. I don't know if that's a real word, but like undercomplicated by flattening it and making it simple when life is not simple. Life is complicated, complex. It's confusing. It's devastating, right? And we should create room for those emotions. But oftentimes we're taught to, in the spiritual community, to just push it down, to be in the present, but also don't feel your emotions. That doesn't make sense. If I'm present, I'm going to feel my emotions. And we also have this hierarchy in our mind of what emotions are good versus what emotions are bad, when all emotions are just emotions. They're all good. All of the emotions are good. Sorrow is good. Joy is good, right? Like it's literally the human experience. It's all good. It's all good. So yes. But in this culture, we are so toxically positive for a number of reasons, but I think one of the main reasons is because we don't really want to talk about the harm, because if we talk about the harm, then there needs to be action taken by us that we're not comfortable taking. We'll get to that in a second. Let me not get ahead of myself. But hello. Yes. 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 Or if people give you Bible scriptures, oh my goodness. If people give you Bible scriptures as an answer to a problem you have, I hate that. I hate that too. I hate that too. Because if they were ever in that situation and the roles were, reversed, they would know that like getting that scripture is not going to be helpful. You know what I'm saying? It might be encouraging later, but like in the moment, that's not like, it's almost like even when I read scripture, I can see remnants of that, right? It's a lot of denying the human experience in pursuit of holiness, as if the human emotion is somehow unholy, as if anything other than joy is unholy. When it says that God mourns with the grieving, right? Like God is with the brokenhearted. And so there are contradictions that exist in the Bible, because if you're saying take joy in sorrow, right? Then like, but at the same time, the Bible also says mourn with those who are mourning. Like literally, the Bible literally says weep with those who are weeping. You don't need to say anything except I'm here with you. This is really hard. I don't know what to say. Be honest about your humanity, your limitations. I can't fix this for you, but I'm here with you. You feel me? Like that does so much better than like, here's some scriptures. Okay, gotta go. Hope this makes you feel better. No, it's insensitive. And it's actually quite selfish, even if there are good intentions behind it, it's still centering ourselves, So yes. And when religious people respond to tragic events with God allowed it, not helpful at all. At all. Marissa says, interesting, wondering if it can also be a way to make sense of oppression. We're going to get there. And yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hi, Anita. I've never heard this term before. Yeah. Yes. Hi, Voyager Collective. Hello. Not me catching live early on. I'll be behind to catch up for a minute. But hey, welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. So the next thing I want to pull up is a video. I'm sure you all have seen it. This is from Pastor Keon from, I don't know what church that he's at, but he's the guy married to, what's her name? Shawnee. He's married to Shawnee who was married to, she's from Basketball Wives. She has things on her own, but I don't really follow like a lot of celebrities like that. But she's now married to a pastor named Pastor Keon Henderson. And this is the pastor that was on my list a while ago, because there was a woman in his congregation who, was emotional, was emoting, like while, as a singer on the stage. And while she was emoting and having this moment of release, he embarrassed her and hushed her. So that's the same pastor. He's been on my list since then. I have not heard about that man since before then, but he's been on my list, whatever. Recently, he's been trending again for telling people that it's not good to give to the poor. I'm going to share the video with y'all because he can explain it better than I can. I had to go through Instagram comments. I don't follow places like, the Neighborhood Talk or what is it? Spiritual World and other things like that. I don't like gossipy stuff, but I'm going to share this because this is important. Hold on one sec. Yes, here we go. Share. Yay. Okay. So, the sound is not on. Here we go. Let me move forward.
You do something for the poor.
Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something, the poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself. So when you give $1 to somebody on the street talking about I did my job, God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Bible. Charity does not bring wealth. What? Only the tithe does that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna preach on it.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Let's be clear. This is anti-biblical. It is. This is literally taking scripture and twisting it to fit their own narrative, right? To get what they want, which is money. It grieves me. When I saw that, it grieved me. And I don't be outing people here, but I need to make this clear. That is not, if you call yourself a Christian and you believe this, you're not a Christian. Sorry, hate to break it to you. Like, that ain't it. It ain't it. And so like I see stuff like this happening. Okay. I see stuff like this happening, happening pretty consistently, especially within the church. And it frustrates me because this also, that part, it's not even a twist. It's just overt lying, period. Right. Like, and also I have a few thoughts. Number one, we don't give to the poor to get anything in return. That's not the point. If you're giving to get something in return, you're not giving, you're investing, right? Like you're making a transaction. If you if you feel like you don't want to give to the poor because you're not going to get nothing back, don't do it. Don't do it. Like if that is your main objective, don't waste their time. The idea that we are supposed to give to people who literally cannot help themselves, who need help, right? It's the same idea. Okay, let me calm down because that got me going. But when I see stuff like that, I see harm, and people, like Yvonne was saying, from the audience are saying yes, right? Because he knows that people are desperate. He knows that people are desperate, and he's like, oh, the reason why you're broke is because you're helping other broke people, right? Not mentioning that you all are giving all your money to him so that he can be wealthy. Okay, so I really want to talk about the spiritual stuff because that's one of the points I'm going to make later. But yes, let's talk about it. Excuse me, let me take one more sip of water. We're going to get started. Whew, okay, period. This is pretty much what Jesus never wanted. That part, that part. I cannot with these people, and they say it with so much confidence, like, yes, yelling into the mic. I also saw a recent video where this guy was yelling at women, telling them that they need to lower their standards. Like, it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. But the point is that anybody can take anything spiritual and anything with like a hint of spirituality and twist it and make it and fashion it into something that we just repeat. You see how easy it was for the people in the congregation to receive what he was saying without any pushback. You know what I'm saying? Like, without any pushback. So okay, let me calm down. Without any pushback, it's so easy for us to take an idea and run with it. And then it becomes something else, right? So before this becomes anything else, I just want to let y'all know that is not how that works. You give because you feel led to give. You feel good. What I get in return for giving is the feeling of being impactful and helpful to somebody. That's what I get. I don't give to people looking for anything in return, especially from people who literally cannot return anything from me. And so people will say things like, the reason why you're poor is because you're caring for people. Huh? The reason, while completely avoiding oppression, capitalism, right? Wage theft. Like, what are we talking about? Like all these different things. And so people will take things and run with it. So that was my point. Okay, let's begin. So spiritual sayings that I have come to believe are harmful. Number one. Uh-oh. There we go. What do we get from tithing anyway? This is a whole conversation. Even within the Christian spaces, people are debating, do we tithe? Do we not tithe? What's going on? Like, we're not back in the Bible day. You know what's happening. But obviously, like, that was a ploy just to manipulate people out of money. That's it. Like, to be like, oh, don't give your money there. Give your money here. When literally, like, people who are poor take care of each other. People who are poor take care of each other. The reason why the poor be poor is because y'all be holding money back because people don't be giving. You feel me? And this is exactly what it is. Eurocentric hyper individualism. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps but make it spiritual, right? Like white supremacy, but make it spiritual. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Number one. You attract who and what you are. I probably should have put like a banner, but anyway, the number one thing I hate is you attract who or what you are. That is not true. That's not true. I don't even know where we got this idea from. I don't know. But if you are a light, right? If you're a light in this world, you're going to attract good and bad things. Just because a bad thing comes to you does not mean that you're a bad thing. I feel like people say that because it makes them feel like they're in control. They're more in control than what they really are. And what we really have to understand, and I wrote this, and I'll read something to you all later. Like, what it really is like life is as random as it is beautiful. There are things that we can see that maybe like if you have the wisdom and knowledge, like, oh, that's a red flag. But a lot of us don't. And people are very good at manipulating people, putting on a good front. Just because you walk through the world, I'm a person who walks through the world expecting the best of people. I expect people to be good to me because I'm good to them, right? And so for me to assume that every person that has harmed me in some way, it's because I did something wrong, because I'm a bad thing, y'all are wildin'. You're wildin'. But again, I think that one, people like to victim blame. That's the first thing. We hate victims. We're in America. Like, we hate victims. But number two, we don't know how to explain and how to protect people that we love. We don't know how to explain away. We don't know how to intellectualize, I should say, someone harming us, right? But this idea, it's like, it's very problematic because, okay, then you attract who you are. Did the indigenous folks that were here attract white people taking over their land and killing them and robbing from them and pillaging? I'm confused, right? Did Africans attract white people coming to their land and stealing actual bodies? Are we okay? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? It doesn't make any sense. It's harmful, right? And I made a video about this before, and my response to that is you entertain or you accept what you deserve, what you think you deserve. Not what you deserve, excuse me. I used to say you accept what you think that you deserve, but that's not even true. Going on beyond that, right? You accept what you've been taught to accept by community. Community teaches us what to accept, what is normal, especially if that's in a church or like some sort of spiritual community. I know for myself, I know there was a time in my church where there was some infidelity going on, and this married woman went to their pastor and was like, hey, like my husband's cheating on me. What do I do? Right. And the pastor says to her, just stay with him. Just work it out. It'll be okay. Like God is with y'all. Just keep praying for him. Just keep praying and fasting and being a good woman. And then he'll turn around. Like we know that's not true, right? People do what they want to do. People have free will. So this woman stayed in this church and in a relationship because the pastor told her, and everyone around her reinforced this idea that her job was to stay put, to pray and seek God and beg God to not allow her to lose her marriage, and to also beg God to control her husband somehow from cheating on her, right? Community teaches us what to accept. Community teaches us what is normal. Like it normalized things for us. There are so many things that I'd be like, am I tripping? And I look around for confirmation, for somebody nodding their head to be like, no, yeah, I peep too, right? But if you don't have that person reflecting, if you don't have people brave enough to speak and be like, yo, this is wrong, then you're going to think that you're the crazy one. Like you're going to think that you're the one that's not getting it, or you're somehow not spiritual, right? So anyway, so this idea that, again, that somehow we accept what we think we deserve is also a lie. And I also take back what I said earlier, and I'm correcting myself by saying we are taught by community what to accept, and it's reinforced and reaffirmed by that same community. So all this talk about, there's been a lot going on, but all this talk about like, you should have known better, you ignore the red flags, we're completely ignoring and bypassing what's really happening here. Like people can be awful. People can want the worst for you. People can harm you with no remorse. And we don't think that happens because we're not those people. Like, how could you destroy someone's life? I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I'm a product of it. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So community is complicit. This is what I wrote down. Community is complicit and reinforces these beliefs and standards. And then when the person seeks out reparation or restoration or whatever, or accountability, like for this partner who is cheating on them, right? Then they say, oh, it's your fault. There must be something that you must have done. How did you end up with this man that cheated on you? There must be something wrong with your picker. What? So either way, the victim is to blame. We completely avoid holding accountable the person that has harmed us. Because one, we are ill-equipped. We don't know what we're doing. And nobody is honest about that. How do we hold someone accountable? Let's for the sake of this example, in church, right? Because that's the example I started with. In a church setting where patriarchy reigns supreme and men are untouchable. I grew up in a church where women weren't allowed to preach, to be seen. We were playing supports. paying the bills, by the way. Most of the women in the church, most of the people in the church were women. That was my point. And we were still not allowed to have a voice, right? And so, like, I've witnessed this stuff happening. And we also don't know how to care for victims. We also don't know how to care for people who are hurting. You know? Give me one more second. Sorry, I must be thirsty today. All right, so all of our standards, our beliefs, don't just come out of the thin air. All the things that we endure do not just appear like, oh, I have low self-esteem, so I'm gonna, no, like it's all this like individuality that really is like getting to me, or individualism, I should say. Individualism is getting to me because to pretend that our self-esteem is self-made is a lie. We become confident because we're around loving people who reflect to us the truth of who we are and our worth and our value. Like I am surrounded by people who reflect back to me, Alicia, you're a good thing. Because everywhere else in the world is telling me that I'm an awful thing, that I'm the worst of the worst, right? But I have community around me that's saying, this is a mirror, by the way. I have community around me saying, I see you for who you really are. You are not what they're saying you are. I know you personally. I've been there with you through the hard times and the good times. This is who you are. Our self-esteem is not made by self alone. Yes, we have to keep holding on to that and reminding ourselves of the truth. But our language comes from other people. The words and the phrases that we use come from other people. We do not do this life alone. Stop lying. We need each other. We need community. Okay, the next one. Let's see. Oh, I made a little asterisk note for myself. Even if you have low self-esteem, you still don't deserve it. A lot of people say like, oh, if you had high self-esteem, this wouldn't happen to you. If you somehow think highly of yourself, number one, it's a lie that, I'm not gonna say it's a lie. Having high self-esteem does not mean that you will not be harmed by anybody. Having high self-esteem does not save you from people harming you. That's not how that works. A lot of people are actually attracted to people with high self-esteem to destroy their self-esteem. Sometimes having high self-esteem actually makes you a target. So to think that just because you have high self-esteem, that protects you from the harm of other people, understand that that's not always the case, right? We need community to point out to us. Ooh, that's a red flag, sis. This is a flag. That's a red flag, sis. No. I know that this person is saying that. I know that he, she, they is saying this, but I see this, and this is the truth, right? So you don't deserve to be punished just because you have low self-esteem. If a person has low self-esteem, they need to be esteemed. What are we doing? If a person has low self-esteem, their lot in life should not be abused just because they think lowly of themselves. Make that make sense to me. You can't. And I'm tired of hearing people say that. Just have high self-esteem, this won't happen to you. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Anytime, this is one thing that I said to myself, anytime that someone says just X, Y, and Z, just whatever, either they are oversimplifying it because they don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed. They're like, I want to save you, my friend, but I don't know what to do to save you, right? But they feel like they have to have an answer or have to have a response or something. Or somebody didn't validate their experience. A lot of us are told to just like let things roll off your back like a duck, right? Don't let it get to you. That's not how life works. Everything gets to us. We are sensitive people. Until we build up the things, the barriers that we need, the boundaries. Because I'm a very sensitive person, I have to have boundaries in place to protect myself from people that may mean me harm, right? Like I'm very sensitive. And I can be naive. I want to see the best in people, right? But everybody don't want the best for me. So I have boundaries, including my friends. It's not just my high self-esteem, because sometimes I ain't got high self-esteem. Some days I'll be like, girl, we here today. We made it. That's about it. That's all I got. Right? And that still doesn't mean that I should be prey for a predator just because I have low self-esteem. What it really means is that community has failed us. We as community have failed other people. Protecting them, keeping them safe, esteeming them, encouraging them, loving on them. This is a group effort. This is group work. No one gets saved on their own. No one. I don't care. No one. No one gets saved on their own. Somebody created a video, wrote a book, spoke at a lecture, some spirit came to you and dropped a message. The trees are speaking to you, whatever, by way of whatever, you got the message, right? But you didn't just create it yourself. Somebody gave you that information. We all get free together. Okay. So having low self-esteem is not a sin. Having low self-esteem does not mean that you are prey for anybody. And having low self-esteem does not mean that you're disposable to your community. It is our job to encourage you, to give you what you don't have. That's the whole point. Okay, the next thing, number 2. I don't know why I keep numbering things because I'm not going to remember the numbers. But the second thing that I wrote down that I don't like when people say, God helps those who helps themselves. God helps those who help themselves. Yeah, that's not true. That's not true. God helps those who help themselves. We help people who cannot help themselves. That's the truth. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Shaquan McCready. Thank you so much for liking the video. I appreciate that on Facebook. God helps those who help themselves. If that were true, we would not need God. What? For these Christian spaces, what is the point of needing God if God helps those who help themselves? And also, the entire thing about Christianity is that Jesus died for your sins. Jesus died doing something that you could not do yourself. Are we like the literal crux? Like the thing that your religion sits on is that Jesus died because you couldn't get it together. What? That's not true. There are people who literally cannot help themselves. The unwell, the mentally unwell, the exhausted. We want them to work even harder with no energy or no hope? Shame on us. Shame on us. There are people who literally cannot help themselves. And this is also an ableist talking point. And you know what gets me? When I'm taking a break from reading the Bible because I don't have it. It's filled with like a lot of misogyny, ableism, homophobia, a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't have the capacity right now. And as a woman, let's go on a side tangent. Let's go on a side quest real quick. As a woman, it is very triggering to read the Bible for me right now. I'm just going to be honest. It's very triggering. The only time that women are mentioned in the Bible is when they're being martyrs, when they are of service to men, when they are risking their own lives. And yeah, like the birth of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's not really giving me what I need right now. So like, the entire Bible story is literally a story of how men could not help themselves. But yet we are saying that God helps those who helps themselves. I'm reading scripture talking about people laying on mats, waiting for their turn to jump into a pool so that they can be healed. They were casted out of their whole communities, laying on a mat, waiting to be healed. Like, that was evil then, that is evil now. And it's so funny because people will read that scripture and be like, and will gloss over. Like I wept like a few days ago. I was in here with Jamal and I was just like crying because I was just like, all that stuff. Like I can't imagine being a leper. Like, and we use that word colloquially now, like being a leper or what's another word that people use? A pariah. Like we push people out of community who are unwell, and then we say, oh, whatever happens to you happens. We throw people away so easily. It's disgusting. And then we use scripture to do that, or we use spiritual language to do that. Shame on you. Shame on us. We are the hands and the feet of God. So you know how God helps other people? Through us. If we are the hands and feet of God, then we need to get up off our butts and go help some people who cannot help themselves. Because the truth of the matter is we have all been in situations where we literally have not been able to help ourselves, and some opportunity came along that we could not have anticipated, that we could not have applied for, and somebody helped us. This idea of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps is not true. It is a lie. Again, nobody gets freed, nobody gets saved by themselves. So again, we are the hands and feet of God. We can help them. We're just selfish. That's it. We don't care. Say that then. But don't say God helps those who helps themselves. That's literally a lie. That's literally untrue. We can help them. We're just selfish and have bought into hyper individualism. Shout out to Marissa Price. Okay. Really, that phrase is what we say to disqualify people from receiving help. If we're honest, we find them unworthy of help and we don't want to help them. We find these people as deplorable. Like, oh, we don't want to be seen by them. We don't want to be touched by them. We don't want to talk to them. The people on the outside of community, and we know who those people are. We know who they are. They could be in your friend group, the one that everybody talks down on, who's always going through something. And people are, oh, here she go again. But they never reach out to help. What? It's the person on the corner. You know what I'm saying? Who's talking to themselves. And they come up to you when you don't want to be seen with them. It's the same thing. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. We like disqualifying people we like seeing people, we like calling people unworthy of our help. We like being able to have a reason to not step out of our bubble and help other people. We're selfish. Just be honest. I don't feel like doing it. Okay, cool. So that makes way for somebody else to be able to do it. But you telling someone that God helps those who helps themselves is literally destructive. There have been times where I have been so depressed, I have no energy. Like, when I mean no energy, I mean like laying in bed, I can't get out of bed. Like, I can feel the weakness in my limbs, in my soul, in my heart, in my mind. I just weep. I can't do anything for myself. And I'm grateful that I have friends who call me. I'm grateful that I have a husband who actually like cares. You know what I'm saying? Who can serve me when I cannot serve myself. I've literally served people who literally cannot serve themselves in times of mourning. Even though I can't fix it, I can be there. Let me be there for you. I can't fix this for you. I had a friend who lost her mom recently. And as a friend, I want to fix it all for her. Ooh, I want to fix it all for her. I want her to be okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm not sorry. I care a lot about this person. And I've seen her work so hard for so many other people. And in her time of need, all I could do was be there. And that was enough. That was enough. She knew that I couldn't fix it. I couldn't bring her mom back from the grave. I can't do that, but I was there. What can I do? Let me be your strength. You are not strong right now. I am. I'm stronger than you right now. Let me be with you. Let me serve you. How can I? Do you need me to run errands? You need me to create, photocopies for the funeral programs? You want to go to Applebee's? Like, for real, that's what we did. You want to go to Applebee's and hang out? Let's go do that. And do late night happy hour drinks around the bar. Let's do that. Let's commiserate together. Let me create space for you to mourn and weep, and me not judge you, and hold space for you to be sad. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I said, really, that phrase is what we use to disqualify people from receiving help. We find them unworthy of help. We don't want to help. It's pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, but more flowery. That's all it is. Or a variation of that, right? That I hate that we say, even though it's true. Excuse me, my nose is starting to run. Even though we know it's true, another phrase that I don't like saying, even though it's Black women specifically, we know that this is true, right? No one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. No one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself, right? In theory, I get it. Again, this is why I said this is a nuanced conversation, because historically that is true. Historically, that is true. No one's coming to save us. So we should add something onto that. So we should save each other. No one's coming to save us. So we have to save each other. We know that nobody cares about us. We get it. We know that everybody's coming for our necks. Everybody's coming for any progress we're making. Literal foundations created to help Black women get ahead, right? Was pushed down, struck down. No one's coming to save us. But since we all know that, what are we going to do about it? We got to save each other. That's it. We get saved in community. In community, we get saved. No one gets free or saved alone. No one. We are all in community, whether we acknowledge it or not. Whether we acknowledge it or not, we are all in community. We repeat this and we kind of accept it as though it's like the truth of like, oh, no one's coming to save you. But it's almost very dismissive the way that we say that, right? It's like, oh, no one's coming to save you, girl. Sorry. I can't save you either. You got to get it like I got it. You got to get it. You didn't get it by yourself. You didn't get it by yourself. You like, stop. You didn't get it. Somebody showed you a different way. Even if you went that way alone, you did not get there by yourself. Somebody had to present that information to you to show you that there is another option. Right? And instead of just saying, no one's coming to save you, sorry, you got to save yourself. Here's how I got free. Wouldn't that be a better conversation? Here's how I got free. Hopefully this helps you, right? Here are some resources that I used. Here's what happened to me. Now, how can we fashion this to fit your specific situation? Because that's another thing. Just because it worked for you don't mean it's going to work for everybody else. It ain't a one size fit all. It's not. Oh, I love this, Mara. Sorry, I've been trying to, my notes are long, so I've been trying not to look at the chat. But period. We rise together. And I'm going to come back to the chat after this is all done too. But yes, like, show other people how you got free. What good is it to look down on other people and be like, I got free, so you got to too. And if you're not free, then you don't want it bad enough. That's another, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's another thing. Anyway, but yes, but we repeat this and we kind of accept it. I don't want to gaslight because that has been true, right? Because I don't want to pretend that people have come to save Black women. That we know that that's not true. I get it. But we have the power to change that. Now that we know no one's coming, what are we going to do about that? How am I going to save my people? How are we going to get free? Let's save one another. We get free together. We always have. We've all been blessed by fortune. We've all been helped in ways that we can't explain, in ways that we didn't earn or deserve. So why are we charging others a hefty fee that we never had to pay? Or no one cared enough to come and save and help us. And so we think that that's normal. We have normalized individualism. We have normalized like getting it out the mud and all these other things and things that you should not have had to go through. So I want to reflect that to you too. If that is your story, like me, that's not normal. That's not okay. Somebody should have come and saved you. Somebody should have come and helped you, right? But that's not normal. And you don't get to put that on other people just because you went through that. That's not fair. And it's not kind. I literally know people who have children who tell their children, right? Oh, well, I suffered, so you have to suffer too. Now that's hustling backwards. You know, I don't like hustle anyway, but that's going backwards. That's going backwards. Why? Okay, so no one came to save you, but now you're equipped. You got the tools so that your child doesn't have to go through what you're going through. What is that? Like, that is such wasted wisdom, wasted pain. And I'm not saying that your pain is a waste, right? But I am saying, like, why are you hoarding your lessons from other people who need you? This is how we get free. This is how we go forward. You should have been helped. Let me be clear. You should have been centered. You should have been helped. You should have been rescued. Also, talking about Christian doctrine, that literally goes against Christian doctrine anyway. Again, Jesus literally died because we could not get it together and do it on our own. So why are Christians saying stuff like this is beyond me. It doesn't add up. The next thing that people say that gets on my nerves. You don't have it because you don't want it bad enough. You don't have it because you don't want it bad enough. This, Yvonne, I was traumatized, so you have to be too. Exactly. It builds strength. That part, and we gonna get to that too. Okay? It builds character, it builds strength. No, it just traumatizes people. What? Just like it traumatized you. Which is why you're making other people suffer for something they didn't do to you. It's traumatizing. Okay. You don't have it because you don't want it bad enough. Life is complicated. There are more reasons why you don't have it, whatever it is, right? We are not powerless, but let's not act like our lives aren't impacted by things we cannot control. We completely ignore that people give things their best effort and try and still don't achieve what they desire to achieve. It's not about wanting it bad enough. It's not about wanting it bad enough. I want a lot of things that I tried really hard to get. It didn't work out. So because you're telling me because I didn't want it bad enough, if I just wish for it more, if I just want it more, then I'll have it. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the thing, and this is why I say it's nuanced, because yes, there are some people who literally don't move or do anything about the thing that they say that they want. And so we say that to them to be like, oh, well, you haven't made any moves. So like, it doesn't seem like you really want it bad enough. Like, are you sure you want this thing? Right. But that's not how we have this conversation. We tell people who are poor. We tell people who are sick. We tell people who are in like awful situations that they are in that situation because they don't want the good thing over here bad enough. Meanwhile, people get sick randomly. They eat really good, they exercise every day, and they still get struck with sickness. Some crappy stuff just happens, right? A person starts a business and does everything right, and they still go bankrupt. What then? I think that's the complication of the human experience, right? Is that some stuff we cannot explain. Some stuff is just beyond us. And because we try to rationalize stuff, we try to make it be like, oh, I'm in control of my own destiny. It's really a vulnerable feeling to know that I can do all the right things and still something bad might happen. It's a risk. That's the risk of living. It's awful to think like I could date this person, marry this person, and that person still cheat on me. There's nothing I can do to stop that person from doing what they want to do, right? And so we try to be like, well, if I do X, Y, if I check all the boxes, then I'll be safe. If I do all the right things, then it'll be enough. Nothing will ever happen to me. That's not true. Some stuff just happens and it's not fair. And we're all bewildered. We're all confused. We're all distraught. We have all experienced something like that. It's not saying that there's something wrong with you, that something bad happened. Again, that places all the responsibility on the victim. It's a lot of victim blaming in spiritual speak, I'm realizing. So yes, we can give something our best effort and try and still don't achieve what we want or to desire, what we desire to achieve. Trying and reaching and taking leaps takes energy. It takes energy, resources, faith and hope, support, community, money. When it doesn't work, it's devastating. It can completely annihilate and level things that people have built. So you're just saying, oh, well, you gave it your best try. You put all your money into this thing. You put all your time and your energy and your effort. And now you're exhausted because what you put into it is destroyed. And now people are saying that you are exactly where you are because you don't want it bad enough. What a slap in the face. You're exhausted. You're deflated. You need people to hold space for you, not blame you for your own circumstances. One thing that I said is kind of related to this is everything happens for a reason. We kind of talked about that a little earlier, right? But this assumes that the reason bad things happen is beneficial. That bad things happen for your good, right? And sometimes it's because people are just mean, because people suck, because people are selfish. Right? Like some stuff just happens because people are greedy. People are violent. People are insecure. People have free will. People are traumatized and they traumatize other people. We'll also get to that in a second. Right? But there are 1,000,001 reasons why things happen the way that they happen. Some people can lose their house in a fire. And it's not because, oh, this was supposed to be a good thing. We try to find the silver lining, right? And I'll get to that in a second. But like, no, it could be because there was an electrical wire that was exposed that they didn't know was exposed. I was at my family's house in Philly, and this was like a Thanksgiving. I was a child, and they were frying turkey. They had like this big fryer in their backyard, and they put the turkey submerged in the grease. Well, apparently you're not supposed to put like frozen turkey in there. And I think because they didn't know, they put the turkey in the thing and like the grease overflowed and it set their house on fire. Like the entire back of their house was on fire. And so it would be disgusting for me to go over there and be like, well, everything happens for a reason. This is a great opportunity to start afresh and new. That is not the time for that conversation. Also, you're not initiating that conversation. That is not your conversation to initiate. That is theirs. What we need to do is to show up and be present with them grieving. Just be quiet. Don't say nothing. Except I'm here for you. What do you need? I'll call the fire truck, right? Do you want to stay in my house? Like, there are different things that we can do and offer that are better than saying like everything happens for a reason. And what I also want to say is I know that, especially like when I was in the church heavy, we would always be like, oh, well, everything works out for your good. Yes. Okay, cool. That's great. Right. But like, the thing is that God is an alchemist and God takes bad things and makes them good. But it doesn't mean that thing was not bad. That's still a bad thing. When people say stuff to people like, oh, yeah, You were robbed, but everything happens for a reason. Oh yeah, you were harmed, you were abused, you were SA'd, you were, like whatever. I don't want to create any visuals, but y'all get the point. Like, oh, well, everything happens for a reason. The reason why it happened was because that person was bad. Now, can God take a bad thing and make it good? Sure. Can we all do that? Absolutely. We can all find a silver lining in anything, right? But that should have never happened in the first place. You should have never been harmed. You should have never been preyed on, taken advantage of, disrespected, cheated on. That stuff should have never happened. Us trying to find the silver lining is us just trying to find some sort of hope in this awful situation. That's it. Hold on one sec, y'all. I need another sip of water. Okay. All right, we're back. So yes, the bad thing should not have happened. So even spiritually, like I said, God alchemizes bad things into good things, but the initial thing wasn't good in itself. God never intended for that to happen to you. Let me say that again. For whatever that is that you were told, oh, well, it's a good thing that it happened. God never intended for that bad thing to happen to you. God is grieved. Okay? Creator is grieved. Spirit is grieved, pissed, angry that somebody would violate you, that somebody would harm you, put hands on you, disrespect you, take something away from you. Pissed. So yes. So we rationalize harm and make it okay. And that's the problem with toxic positivity. Why might you not have, right? Going back to the first point, right? Why might you not have the thing that you want? Not because you don't want it bad enough. Why might you not have it? Lack of resources, lack of time, lack of energy, lack of help, systems that literally work against you. We are all thriving in spite of a system that hates us. I need us to be clear. We are all thriving or maintaining. Sometimes I just be maintaining. I'm here. Sometimes I really ain't got it. I feel like it's going to be the end of the world. Okay. I'll be like, listen, there have been a few times I'm like, okay, I get in that scripture. It's not funny, but we're like, oh, I'm just lay here and die. I get it. I've been that sorrowful. Right. And so systems are literally working to destroy us. It takes strength to fight against that system, which is why community is important. So you don't have to fight so hard alone. You feel me? But anyway, coming back. Systems that are literally working against you, that you're trying to travail, right? Ignorance, lack of skills. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you'll know after you fail, using air quotes fail, right? Because I don't, even though I understand the fail, it's like not meeting the goal that you wanted, you still get information from that to be able to apply later. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So ignorance, lack of skill, which is not bad. You're just new. You're new here, bad timing. Or just because it didn't, for whatever reason, or whatever reason we're unsure of right now. Sometimes we won't know why something worked out. Sometimes we won't know what we missed. Sometimes we won't know why someone did X, Y, and Z. Sometimes we don't get closure. There are still some things that people have done to me, that I'm like, I want closure because I want answers. I want to know why. Sometimes the person hurting you doesn't even know why. Sometimes they don't even have an answer, right? Because of greed, oppression, capitalism. All these things might be the reason why you don't have whatever it is that you want. Not because you don't want it enough. Okay. All right. The next thing. We're getting through here. I'm happy. Okay. Because I don't want to have y'all here all day. But I do want to work through this. So thank y'all for being here and talking to each other. I'm going to come to the chat right after we finish. Okay. Another phrase that kind of gets on my nerves is "it is what it is," as somebody who says that, or "that's just the way it is." Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about like when you are at your wit's end, it's like, whatever, girl, I give up. It is what it is, right? That's how I say it. I'd be like, it is what it is. I'm tired of fighting. When people say like, let go or be dragged. I'm tired. Okay. I'm tired of being dragged. Forget it. It is what it is. It's not that I'm accepting that it's like, oh, this is what it is, right? It's just that I've reached my capacity. I can't do anything else. I've tried everything. I don't have nothing else to give. Okay. That's what I mean when I say that. But I also know that people say things like that to be that part, Z. Thank you, Z. I need that phrase to survive. Exactly. It is what it is. That part, it is what it is. It's above me now. All those different variations of that same thing. It is what it is. I ain't got time. I'm tired. There have been times I've been working on a computer or something, trying to figure out a program, or editing a video or doing something else that's just like, overwhelming and frustrating. I could feel myself like tightening and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let this stress me out. It is what it is. Upload. They gonna get what they get. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people say that to other people, like that's just the way it is because we accept it and do nothing about it. Right? So when we say that, it's almost like I've reached the end of my own resources, my own energy, right? And sometimes somebody else can pick up the slack and be like, oh, I got you. I got it. No worry about it, right? That's what we hope for. I need help. Please help me. But sometimes we say this to other people and it's actually very dismissive, right? And we say things like people will say, oh, it's not fair. For example, I've seen kind of variations of this conversation. It's not fair that I get paid $11 an hour. Like, how am I going to survive on that? Right. And somebody will respond with, well, that's just the way it is. Employers can pay you whatever they want, or, oh, it's not fair that people are getting that the rent is increasing or doubling. This happened to us when we were living in DC. The rent was doubling, literally doubling. And a lot of people who were in our building were going to have to leave. And we're talking like veterans. We're talking people who are disabled. We're talking like the elders. Like there were a lot of people who were in that building and it pissed me off. There was a lot of stuff that I did living in that building. I called the Department of Health because our heat wasn't on. There were children living in our building and there were people who accepted it like this is the way that it is. But I understand that they were tired because they had been living there for years and nobody did anything to help them. But for me, I got energy. I'm calling the Department of Health. Hello? Yes, I'm reporting this place because we're freezing in here in February in the DMV, in DC, freezing in a brick building. Yes. Yes, right? Like, so I understand when people say that, but like there are things that we can do though. It's going to take time. It's going to take strategy. It's going to take energy and effort. But I think that what we really need to say is that I'm very tired. Who can take up this mantle? Who can fight for us? Who can represent us? We say things like this is the way things always have been. No, it wasn't. This is a concept. Oh, hey, mommy. Oops, sorry. Hi. But yes, that's my mom, y'all. But we say things like this is the way it's always been. No, it wasn't. It was enforced. And we go along with it. Obviously, like our ancestors, those kind of people, like they didn't have no choice. Like what are we going to do? Right. But now with our privilege, we can do something about it. We can do something about it. Right. So we are powerful together. We are not powerless. Right. Whew, okay. It's interesting that we lie down and take it, but we criticize others for doing the same thing. This is a note that I wrote to myself. We criticize a lot of people who say like, oh, well, they don't want it bad enough. They want to be in that abusive relationship. They don't want to get out. Okay, well, leave them there, right? We criticize them. We look down on them. However, we all kind of participate and are complicit in our own oppression too, right? Because we all understand what it feels like to feel powerless. Not. Was that the meme of the man on the phone? No. Like I'm reporting. But yes, absolutely. Actually, that's actually perfect. That's actually a perfect meme. That's how I was. I'm snitching. Because I got energy. Y'all might have beat down their hope, but I'm hopeful for them. You feel me? So yes. So I said it's interesting that we lie down and take it in a lot of other situations, like how much we get paid at our job. We lie down and take it when the rent is being doubled. We lie down and take it when laws are passed that don't benefit us. You feel me? But then when people stay in situations that they're too tired to leave or they don't have the resources or access or help or a hand to leave, we criticize them. Very hypocritical. Very interesting. Very interesting that we can project our own, what we feel about ourselves. Because that's what I feel like is really happening for some people. Maybe not everybody, but for some people, because we feel so out of control here, we feel controlled by criticizing other people and saying, you should have known better. You should just leave. Again, anytime you say just anything, I know you ain't got the answers. I know you don't have the answers, you know? Okay. So I said, there are circumstances to say, there as an asterisk, as like oh, by the way, as I said before, a disclaimer, there are circumstances where you say that and walk away. I'm not saying fight for everything or fight for everyone to stay. That's not what I mean. Some stuff is worth our time and some stuff is not. A nuanced conversation. 2 things can be true at the same time. 3, 4, 5, multiple things can be true at the same time, right? But we have to decide what is worth our energy and effort. And I feel like the well-being of everybody is worth our energy and effort. Some people, though, they not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mean to throw them away. But yeah, if that person is harming you, like I talked about on Dr. Kimani's channel last week, I talked about a friendship breakup where I literally was holding on to that friendship for dear life, and it was beating my behind. Okay. It was harming me. It was breaking me in half. And I'm like, no, like, I'm fighting for your humanity. I'm fighting for our relationship. It would have been best for me just to be like, it is what it is. Okay. I'm going to go grieve now. I'm tired. Right. But I fought for that thing. And it wasn't until it was ripped from my hand that I was able to let go of that relationship. There are some circumstances where we do need to be like, I've done all I can do. Let's go. The next thing, the next idea that I don't believe in anymore is tough love. And I'll tell you why. Give me 1 sec. I need to drink some more water. All right. Yeah, they're not. Mara, they're not. Friendship breaks are not easy. They're not. And it hurts worse to me than any romantic relationship. I value friendships more than romantic relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I think, and I was saying on Dr. Kimani's channel, the contract is different when we're friends, right? Like, it's like we're friends because we love each other's soul. It has nothing to do with like, it has, oh, no worries. I know what you meant, but it has nothing to do with, romance or like anything like that. It's like, no, like you're my sister. Like I ain't got no sisters, right? So when I have like my girlfriends, those are my sisters. Even my male friends, those are my brothers. And I have brothers. You know what I mean? But like there's something different. It feels like a death. It literally feels like someone just died. And I guess like romantic relationships can feel that way too. But there is a contract with romantic relationships that if we ever fall out of love or whatever, then we're no longer together. Okay, thank you, Z. That's a better way to put it. It's our one shot at unconditional love. That part, right? That part. That's what it feels like. Okay. Oops. Yes, that part. Romance is conditional. Agreed. That's how I feel. And it doesn't feel as safe as friendships. It doesn't. For whatever reason. And I think that romantic relationships should feel that way. But oftentimes what's sold to us is not feel that way. It's like you're constantly in romantic relationships auditioning for their approval and affection and love, where friendship is more like, girl, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't got to be cute for me. You ain't got to be attractive for me to be your friend. You don't have to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels better. Okay. So tough love. Let's talk about tough love. I don't believe in tough love anymore. I also don't consent to tough love. I don't need tough love. I desire and deserve to be loved in the ways that I require to be loved. I never needed to be tough. I never needed people to be tough with me. Tough. Like, and to be honest, when people talk about tough love, a lot of times they're just talking about them having a lack of control, lack of compassion, lack of empathy and care, lack of respect, lack of tact, right? And so I think that when people really say like, oh, it's just tough love, it's really that you have no filter and you have no self-control. You know what I mean? And so I'm no longer allowing myself to be subjected to tough love because I remove my consent. I remove my consent from tough love, especially from people who are not close to me. Like, you don't get to like rail on me because you think I need to listen to you. No, like, sorry, Mara's comment. Take that wig off and relax, sis, with a glass of wine. Period. Right? So anyway, so I said, I do not consent. I withdraw my consent to be loved toughly. I require and consent to kindness, gentleness, generosity, honesty with gentleness, honesty with me centered. If you're going to be honest with me, you have to then center me. And I'm not talking about if I'm harming you, right? That's not what I mean. But I'm saying if I'm harming you, yes, like tell me about myself. You feel me? But if I'm not harming you and you want to be honest with me, do it with care or don't do it at all. Come correct or don't come to me at all. Because a lot of times when we talk about tough love, it's really about what we think a person should be doing, right? Versus where they are, what's going on. We have had our process already. Sometimes we see stuff, the end that people cannot see yet. Sometimes we have experience in that situation and we think that they should listen to us just because we have been there. When we know for our own selves, sometimes it took falling on our own face, having egg on our own face to figure it out for ourselves. And we refuse to give grace to other people and be patient with other people. A lot of times that tough love is your impatience. A lot of times that self-love is you censoring yourself. And sometimes that tough love is frustration, right? Because we love our people and we want them to be better. We want them to be well. We want them to make better decisions or not be harmed and all this other stuff. And if that's the case, how do you think you're going to save them by harming them? If you don't want them to be harmed by this thing, this opportunity, this job, this person, whatever it is, right? We then don't want to also wound them by telling them this truth. We can tell them this truth in love and kindness. How does your friend, and that's the thing about relationships, right? They require work. It's work to be in relationships. I'm not talking just romantic. Friendships require work. Familiar relationships require work. Me and my brother come from the same people, but we are two very different people. We are two very different people. How one might talk to my brother, please don't talk to me like that. How one might talk to me, please don't talk to him like that. You feel me? Like, even though we grew up in the same house, we have two different personalities. You have to learn your people. Learn how they take criticism. Nobody likes criticism, y'all. We don't like it. I don't like it. It don't feel good. It's not fun. You want to be affirmed. And so criticism in itself is already tough. It's already hard. It's already like jarring when you get it. And so we want to make sure that we're giving them the message to the person so that they actually hear it and can apply it. And also understand that, no, they might not always listen to you because you're not their authority. You're their friend. You're not their parent. You're their friend. You're supposed to be doing things from a place of love and wanting them to be well, right? And yes, sometimes they will not listen to your advice. And that could be annoying. That could be frustrating. But I think for me, and I've said this before, like, when I'm helping my friend, I am decentering myself. It is not about me. It is not about, oh, you didn't listen to me. That's why you're in a situation now. It's not about that. It's like, I think this is the best way to move forward. I'm coming to my friend. I love you. I care so much about you. I see you going through this thing. I don't want you to experience this thing. Or I've been through something like that. Start with your own vulnerability instead of just pointing fingers. With your own vulnerability. That's how I try to lead. I've been through something like this. I don't want you to go through that. And this is giving me signs of that. Now, some people might push back because, again, criticism is triggering. Because we live in a society where if you're criticized, you're thrown away. If you're imperfect, there's no room to not be perfect. We have to consider all this stuff, right? How they grew up in their home, how they were criticized, right? Like, and also we think that somehow if we're wrong, then we're a failure. And we have to be honest about that. So yes, it's hard. And they might not listen to you the first time or the third time. But if they're still your friend, if you love them, you want well for them. And sometimes it costs them making some, using air quotes, bad decisions, or just decisions that we had to make for them to get to where they want to. And they'll come back and like, you know what? I see what you say now. I see what you mean now. And we want to be gracious and loving enough to accept them when they come back. Not that they have to go anywhere, but you know what I'm saying. Oh, thank you, KD Marley, for the like on Facebook. I appreciate that. Hold on one second, y'all. Need to drink some more water. Sorry, I was saying, ooh, but you couldn't hear me. Yes, 111. Thanks, Jess. Child of 83 says, tough love is used as a weapon. But on the other hand, I understand in situations like dealing with addiction that someone might feel they need to exercise tough love, but that's an extreme. I agree. But also, like, are we trained? Are we trained to deal with people with addictions? A lot of us are not, right? And so we need professional help in those circumstances when things are that big and extreme, and because addiction is an illness, right? And people who are addicted still need kindness. Just because they're addicted doesn't mean that we have to be tough with them. People who are dealing with addiction still need love and softness. And I'm not saying, because I also understand that some people with addictions, like, they might be stealing from people. I'm not saying just avail yourself to be stolen from, right? But I am saying if you're going to offer help, do it with them centered, you know? Okay. So yeah, so I said, I don't consent. I withdraw my consent to be loved toughly. I require and consent to kindness, gentleness, honesty, and generosity. And that's the thing. Like, you can be honest with me and be kind. Ain't nobody saying lie to people. You can be honest and kind. It takes more work, takes more effort, takes more time, right? But we're decentering ourselves. We are centering the person we're trying to help and serve, because ultimately it's a service. It's not I told you so. It's I want to serve you. I want to help you, you know? So yeah, so I said, just like Child of 83 says, tough love is often a cover for bullies. I'm gonna be honest. Many people don't even know what love is. A lot of people don't know what love is. A lot of us don't know what love really is. but we want to be tough love. We're very excited about the tough part, but not the love part. That's what we're very excited about, you know? So I said tough love is often a cover for bullies. Many people don't even know what love is. Tough love often requires decentering the person you're loving while centering yourself. And oftentimes what's missing is vulnerability on your own part and honesty with them centered. You know? And that's okay to not know. I don't think I know sometimes. Same, right? Like, this is a nuanced conversation. Please don't take my words as absolute truth. I am a human being figuring this out in real time. But the more that I think about the tough love, it's like a lot of people who say it, don't know what love is, right? And also are using that as a way to not have to filter or buffer or process for themselves either. We just lash out at people and say, well, that's tough love. But you don't, do they take love that way? Is that their love language? I'm not talking about the marriage one, but like, is that how they receive love? How do they communicate? Have we taken the time to do that? Or are we just like, you know what? I'm tired of you. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you calling my phone about this thing all the time. I'm tired of you talking about this person all the time. Girl, I'm over it. Either get your life together or don't call me no more. That don't feel like love to me. You could say like, you know what? I've reached my capacity. Like, I'm exhausted and it doesn't seem like you're really listening to what I'm saying. So I'm going to take a beat, right? Because I don't want to harm you. I don't want my frustrations to be thrown at you. That's a different conversation. You feel me? So yes, like I said, I don't know. This is just my little thoughts in my journals. So yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm mixed on tough love. Sometimes it's necessary to set boundaries and expectations. Yeah, and you can do that without tough love, right? Like, I mean, you could do that without being offensive, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, I agree. Boundaries, expectations, all those things, wonderful. You feel me? I think you should do that. But I also think that we should center the person that we're trying to love on, if it really is love. So yes. Yes. Hi, Lotus Flower. Hello. Lovingly disengaged. Exactly. Like, you can leave people with their dignity. You feel me? You don't have to destroy them and walk away. You can do both. You can love them and be like, I love you so much, but I have nothing else to give to this, and walk away. You know? But also be like, you know what? I'm here if ever X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can still do X, Y, and Z. But yeah. St. Cloverton James Jones says, are you trained? Yeah, good question. That part. Because there's a balance that most haven't learned. Only sunshine or only rain kills the plants. Ooh, that's good. I like that. And I agree with that. All right. Okay, did I finish? Okay, yes. Okay, imposter syndrome. I did a whole live about this before, but I'm gonna give you the cliff notes, okay? I no longer believe in imposter syndrome as a Black woman. There's no way. Imposter syndrome is just oppression. That's it. It's oppression. It's the ramifications of constantly being doubted, questioned, criticized, abused, and neglected, or told you're not enough, right? Because how are you being an imposter? It's not, this is another thought that I've had, limiting beliefs. Okay, these are my thoughts. Sometimes it's not limiting beliefs. It's trauma. It's lived experiences. I think that sometimes we talk about, and I say this because I think sometimes we talk about limiting beliefs as if it's something that's like made up in our minds, that like, oh, these beliefs just pop up. Like, they just, show up. You feel me? When no, a lot of the limiting beliefs we have is real trauma, is real experience, or something that someone told us, or a figurative cap that somebody put on our lid. You feel me? Where really it's like, no, like, we need to have those things validated. That really did happen. And you can still do X, Y, and Z. It might take a lot of energy and effort. And I understand that you're afraid to try again, but I believe in you. I think you have the skills to do X, Y, and Z. Community, coming together and encouraging other people to do their thing. So I said, limiting beliefs are defined as a state of mind or belief, an assumption. And I think that's the thing that stuck out to me, right? An assumption that restricts you in some way. And that was from Asana.com. Don't know if they're credible or anything, but that's where I got it from, Asana.com. And I said, they're literally saying it's in your head. It's not in your head, right? It is in your head because you're not there anymore, but it's not something you made up. It's something that you experience, and the fear that you feel is real. They're literally saying it's in your mind, that your mind is keeping you stuck and second guessing yourself. And I feel like that's a form of like, it's almost like a form of like gaslighting. I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, but it's almost like, oh, it's just in your head. It's not real. And it's blaming you to avoid accountability, blaming you while ignoring the trauma. Because a lot of our limiting beliefs are based on real lived experiences, and it's not imagined. It's not imagined. There are people who talk about their things at work, and they know. I was talking to my friend yesterday actually about this. She works like 10 times harder than anybody else at her job, and she still doesn't feel like she's enough. These white men, literally, okay? Literally, these white men, she was supposed to take some sort of test for her job, and she was studying for it, and she missed it by like 3 points or something. And you could retake it, so it was fine. But she was still discouraged. And one of her white coworkers came in and was like, "Oh, how'd you do on the test?" And she said, "Yeah, I failed by like 3 points." And her white male coworker says to her, "Oh, well, why didn't you ask me? We cheated. We cheated." Right? And she didn't cheat because she was like, it's still not right, right? But they were like, "We cheated." It's this idea that we're always told if we work twice as hard, we only get half as far, right? We say that all the time. That's not a limiting belief. It's a real lived experience. I mean, it's not in our head, I should say. It's limiting. It's a real lived experience. That's all I'm saying. So yes, I said you're not an imposter. You're not an imposter. Someone told you that you were not enough, then told you that it's your fault that you don't believe in yourself. Imposter syndrome is someone telling you, or a group of people, an idea, something, you're not enough. And it's also your fault that you don't have good self-esteem about yourself. Well, yeah, because you told me that I wasn't enough, right? Okay. Scarcity mentality. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Scarcity mentality. Sometimes it just is scarcity. Sometimes it's not your mentality. Sometimes it's not you imagining stuff. Sometimes it really is scarcity. If you live in a place where supplies are limited, where fresh food is limited, right? That's literally scarcity. Literally. You know what I mean? And so some people will say like, "Oh, you're not healthy because you have a scarcity mindset." No, honey, it's because organic fruits and vegetables are expensive here. Like, I go down to Florida, okay, and I can go get some fresh mangoes, watermelon, just anything my heart desires. You feel me? For cheaper. I live in the DMV area, and so because we don't live in a place where fresh fruit is like just available all the time, because we have 4 seasons, you know what I mean? We get our stuff shipped. So like the stuff is more expensive here than it is other places in the world, other places in this country. And so sometimes it's not scarcity mindset. It literally is scarcity because people are greedy. People are greedy, and greed creates lack. And people experience lack because people are greedy. People take too much. People take what they don't need. People don't share resources. People hoard things. We saw that, and I talked about that before, at the beginning of the pandemic. In 2020, when people lost their minds and hoarding toilet paper and all this other stuff, like nobody else in the world needs water or hand sanitizer or supplies, right? They weren't experiencing, those people who didn't have access to those resources, the nurses, my cousin, I was gonna say my sister, my cousin's a nurse. She was telling me about like the trauma that she was going through. They had no, oh my gosh, I cannot think of the term, like, masks. I'm gonna think of it when I'm not even here, but yes, but they didn't have the resources they need. That's not lack mentality. It's lack. Some people live in fear of not having enough because they have not had enough. I know for me, like, I have a lot of poverty trauma, okay? I have a lot of poor trauma. PPE, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. PPE, right? Yes, thank you, the other MJ. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, like, so many people don't have things. And so because we may have been fortunate enough, right? Or because someone didn't validate our experiences, we look at other people and we say like, "Oh, well, you don't have it because you have a lack mentality." Honey, no. People are afraid of going back to poverty, okay? People know what that feels like. People know what it feels like to not have no heat. People know what it feels like to go hungry, okay? People knows what it feels like to go without electricity. It's not in their minds. It's a real lived experience that nobody should have to experience. No one. So now we're blaming people for being traumatized. It's not lack mentality. It is trauma. It's trauma. So yeah, so like I said, lack and scarcity are created. They are manufactured. In real life, there is no lack, right? We know this. In real life, there is no lack. There is more than enough for everybody. But because people are, oh, thanks, Mom. Because people are selfish and unkind and greedy, people go without. So yeah, sometimes it is it's like, oh, it could be, lower self-esteem or whatever, but sometimes it's real lived trauma that people don't want to go back to. Okay. I've come from some things I don't want to go back to. And I'm afraid. And this is what we also have to remember. When you are experiencing poverty, when you're experiencing lack or scarcity, everything costs so much more than what it really costs, right? When you don't have support, community, money, good food, good health, right? A good support system, every decision you make is life or death. It can feel like it, I should say. Every decision you make, and sometimes it is, feels like life and death. So to simplify it to people and be like, oh, you shouldn't care about that. How, when I feel like if I take this risk, I'm going to die. That's very real for people. If I put all my money into this thing, into this idea, into this program, into this whatever, and it doesn't turn out well, how am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? How am I going to clothe myself, bathe myself, keep myself warm? When you don't have nobody coming to save you, what we talked about earlier, you're taxed. It's like when you don't have support systems or resources, you are taxed far more heavily than other people are for doing basic stuff. Hold on one second. Y'all read this. I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Taylor, thank you for sharing this. I appreciate that. The poverty tax is real. The fees for late payments, yep. Cut off for non-payment, yep. You can be doing your best and still they pile on. Yes, and I talked about this a little bit. Thank you for sharing this, Taylor. I talked about this a little bit in the, and I made a video about being poor in my own poverty trauma and how when you're doing basic stuff, everything, like I said, is a life and death. Everything is a life and death experience or choice. Everything is a decision between life, being housed, being clothed, being warm, and going without. Everything. You can't there's the stat, I don't know the real numbers, but there's the stat that most people don't have $1,000 or $2,000 in their bank account for an emergency. Most people are living check to check or from grace to grace. Okay. That's most of us. That's most people. Most people don't have money for an emergency. So everything is that serious. I also talked about how when you are poor, you buy stuff within your budget, but usually that stuff within your budget is worse than what you really need, right? So let's talk about it. My car. The first car I ever had, I paid $200 for. It was a Geo Prism 1995 and the year was 2011. In 2011, I bought my first car. It was a 1995 Geo Prism. I paid $200 for that. And I worked at Applebee's. I worked my butt off to pay for that car. I got the car, drove it home. On the way home, the radiator was cracked. The radiator was cracked. While I had that car, I had to get my brakes replaced. I had at the end of its life, it just died on me. But I couldn't afford to upkeep the car, which really means that I couldn't afford the car, right? But I had to have the car to get to and from work. So one day I was driving on 95 and there's this part in the DMV area where there's this part of 495 where it splits between 495 and 95. And so I was trying to go down 95 and my car literally just turned off. I'm on 95 and it turns off. I thank God that there was traffic because I got out my car to try to push the car, little old me, to push my car to the side of the road. A man had to come out and help me push my car to the other side of 95 so that I could be safe, right? That car, I took it, and I literally left. I was leaving Pep Boys because something else was wrong with the car. I left Pep Boys, maybe 15 minutes later, the car just died. So I took the car to a place to be looked at again. And they basically told me that after all of that, my engine died. And I had to get a whole engine replaced. Guess who didn't have that money? Me. I bought a car trying to be financially responsible because I could not afford debt. I tried to make the best decision with what I had, limited resources. And because I only had limited resources, my options were very few. The car itself, the fixing itself, I had to learn how to put Freon in my own car, how to put oil in my own car, okay? How to change my tire. I thank God that I have male friends who took care of me and, helped me to, I remember, shout out to Marcus, one of my best friends. we were driving on the road and the radiator kept getting hot, and he literally sat with me in that heat waiting for the radiator to cool so that we can keep driving. Everything is more expensive when you are poor. Everything. Life is more expensive when you're poor. When you're wealthy, you can pay to have your problems fixed. You can pay for the most beneficial product, the thing that lasts. When you're poor, you have to keep buying clothes over and over again because it's cheaply made. We were talking about that. We're talking about talking about clothes. Yes, in Themis's channel, like we were talking about how men's clothes are more expensive than women's clothes, but women's clothes are cheaper. And so because it's made cheaper, if you're poor, you're gonna go to the H&M. Okay, you're gonna go to the H&M. You're gonna go to the Rainbow. You're gonna go to the what else? What other place? The thrift store. Hello, thrift store stuff might last though because some people buy quality things. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, so you're buying cheaply made things, and so because it's cheaply made, the wear is less than something that you pay more money for. You feel it? You feel me? So yeah, so over time, poor people actually end up paying more than other people pay. It's not fair. Trying to be financially responsible does not save you from the ills that happened. Hello? Okay. My mom had us in the thrift store, okay? Buying clothes, shoes, everything, bags, okay? And now it's trendy. But back then it was embarrassing. You know, like people were like, oh, you don't have the, now everybody wanna shop at thrift stores. Okay. Forever 21, those $10 jeans was a lifesaver. Exactly. Hi, Built Like This podcast. I hate having to use Klarna, Affirm, etc. But when that's the most cost efficient option for me, then that's what I'm gonna do. Exactly. And that's another thing. Thank you for pointing this out, Built Like This. Yeah, everything. I know thrift store is expensive now because it's gentrified. Everything made for poor people is gentrified now. It's trendy. It's very frustrating. But yes, to this point, right? They know that everything is unaffordable. So much so that they created Klarna and Affirm so that we can afford basic stuff. Basic stuff. People are like, stop. Girl, don't apologize, Mom. Ain't no need to apologize. Please. We were surviving. I had clothes. I had warm clothes. I didn't care. After a certain point, I was like, girl, I don't care. Y'all gonna make fun of me anyway. It doesn't matter. So yes, but thank you, Mommy. I appreciate you for taking care of us. Thank you. But yeah, like, no. They know that stuff is too expensive. So instead of like lowering the price so that people can get it, all they're doing is like, oh, well, we know you can't afford it, but we can break it up into monthly payments, which means you're paying more because it's going to add on, what is that percentage? The principal and anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. But yes. Oh, I love this. Klarna is great for groceries too. Yes. Listen, you know, pay less, thrift stores. We was in there. Okay. And the stuff worked. Interest. Thank you. APR. Yes. Interest. Thank y'all. So yeah, you're paying more because of interest. So yes, poor people. That's why I'm tired of hearing people talk about poor people. I am poor people. Please be quiet because you don't know what you're talking about. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate that. Just do this. Just no. I don't even know how we got here. Hey, Themis. I had to learn a lot of compassion in this area. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for learning compassion. I really appreciate that. All right, let's see. Let me come down. Listen, Payless was my store. Okay, I used to love a Payless, a BOGO deal, buy one. It used to be buy one, get one free, if I'm not mistaken. But then it became like buy one, get one half off. That's annoying. Ain't nobody asked for that. That's annoying. Oh, yay. Thank you for saying kind to my mom. I appreciate that. Yes. My mom be listening. I appreciate her. I'm late. Oh, no worries, KMC. But as always, thank you so much for hosting this conversation, Leisha. You're welcome. Couldn't agree more. SMH, I felt ashamed for shopping at Payless back in the day. Same. They used to make, there was this guy, real quick story. His name is Anthony, and we're friends. And, but when I used to come into school, I used to have these shoes, and the name brand was like Ryka. It was like RYKA. I think it was Ryka spelled like that. And so they were sneakers. So when we started the school year, you had sneakers, you had church shoes. What else, Ma? Like sneakers, church shoes, and like sports shoes. Yeah. So that was supposed to last like the entire year. So Ryka were like my everyday shoes. And so like, cause I played sports. So it was my everyday shoes. And every time I came to the classroom, he would go, Ryka. Like just like whispering. I'm like, oh my gosh, please. This is so embarrassing. He's like, Ryka. And you know, he was a class clown, and I think he loved me. Like we were friends. But but like he loved me as in like I was his friend. But yeah, like you were always oh. High code in. Rika is high end now and champion. Okay? Champion used to be for us. I agree. And Rika is high end now. That is so funny. Then I was ahead of my time. Look at me. Look at us, Ma. We made it. That's funny. QB says, so the stuff the kids would try to make me feel bad about in school, I can still fit the same age group. Always has things to say, yep, about how much they love them. Really? Yeah, thrift stores are getting expensive. I just buy regular as I don't have the patience for a treasure hunt. Yeah, it's a lot. But yes, how do we even get there? I don't even know. Oh, scarcity. Scarcity is scarcity and lack. Oh, look at you. Okay, Mom. Okay. But yeah. Oh, but I used to love the smell of Payless stores when I was younger. Fresh shoes. I know what that smell is. As I'm reading this, I'm like, I know exactly what that is. Oh, Mara. I love that. Okay, yes. So lack and scarcity mentality, okay, is not just in our mind. It's not just a figment of our imagination. It's real lived experiences, real life trauma, okay? And so it's going back about the car. So now it's time to get another car, and it's actually really hard because cars are really expensive now, even the used ones. And because of COVID, right, the price of cars have gone up. And then there's this whole thing where the car industry actually lobbies so that cities are not walkable. It's a whole thing. They're all in cahoots together. There's a whole system working so that people go without. The reason why we have what people call like stroads, which are like street roads, is because Ford, GMC, like all these different all these different car companies go and lobby so that like in order for them to make money, for them to profit. It's a whole thing. So yes, anyway, it's a whole system. Okay, let me go on to the next thing. Oh, Mama. Thanks, Mom. Mom just sent me a picture of Rika. Thank you, Mommy. Hold on. Let me show y'all this picture real quick. Let's see. So this is the, I don't know if y'all can see this. Okay. This is the company that I'm talking about, Rika. Ryka. Yes. Those are the shoes I used to wear in elementary school. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate that. So yes. The next thing that kind of has me feeling away. Again, this is a nuanced conversation. Multiple things can be true at the same time. I'm really getting at the heart, really getting to the heart of like when things are done that can have negative impact. Yes. Okay. We shouldn't judge. I disagree. We use judgment all day. We judge all day. We judge how fast a car is coming so that we don't cross the street and get hit. We judge, whether something is right or wrong. We judge, oh, is this too much food? Did I put too much in? Or what? We judge all the time. Judging keeps us safe. It's okay to say that somebody did something bad. It's okay. And I'm not talking about you disagree with like people's life decisions or choices. I'm talking about stuff that harms you and harms other people. If something is harming other people or harming you, you should call it out. You should judge it as harmful. Not judging allows others to get away with harm. It keeps us isolated and out of community care. Okay? QB. The face I just made at we shouldn't judge. Right. What? Yes, we should. And it's so interesting because like a lot of people who are against like spirituality or like Christianity or things like this, like they say that like, oh yeah, we shouldn't judge. Like the Bible says we shouldn't judge, but it's like, no, but that's why so much bad stuff happens in the church. Not judge people every day. That's funny. But seriously, even ourselves measuring, right? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I saying this? Why do I feel this way? Correct. Judging. Hi, Moon Warrior Turtle. Hello. Judging equals discernment. Exactly. Like, no, we need to call out what is bad. Judge that. Absolutely. That's wrong. Yes. You're wrong. You're harmful. You're disrespectful. You're being unkind. We need to judge things and call things out so that people can be saved. So I said, not judging others allows others to get away with harm, and it keeps us isolated and out of community care. When I come to you, if someone were to come to me, I should say, and they say, hey, this person did X, Y, and Z. I think that they were harming this person. And if my response is, oh, we shouldn't judge, I'm not being a good community member. It is my job to take that information and see what I can do, right? And maybe I need to give it to somebody else to check this person. I don't know what's going on here. but we need to judge. Yes, yes. I guess we shouldn't judge based on an external hierarchy. Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. If something is harmful, call it out. Call it out. Excuse me, y'all. 1 second. I get to drink some more water. All right. Whew. All right. The next thing. We're going to muscle through these last few. The next thing. Leave them behind. Like, oh, just leave these people behind, right? Again, I understand that in some cases, yes. Like that group of friends that I had that were like harming me, I should have left them behind. But not in the sense of like, not in the sense of like you're beneath me, right? Because I think sometimes when people say that, oh, leave them behind, we say that as if like, we say leave them behind or everybody can't come. There's like this hierarchy that we use to be like, oh, you're not worthy, so I have to leave you. I'm better than you. You feel me? Like, and I think that's a different air than what we should have. So I said people are not disposable. They're not behind you, right? They're not behind you or not evolved. Like sometimes you're in a different place than other people, right? But it took you some time to get to where you are now, right? Sometimes we got to give people patience, give people time, and not force them to be where we think that where we think that they should be, I should say. People get to decide what success looks like for them, what their lives looked at for them. And we don't get to tell folks what to do with their freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't get to say like, oh, well, I'm making better decisions. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example of this. But either way, I feel like y'all get what I'm trying to say. It's not freedom, right? It's not free will. It's not freedom. If somehow you disqualify from my love and care because you don't do what I say do. And I'm not talking about things that are harmful. I'm not talking about you harming people, right? I'm talking about me thinking that you're not as evolved as I am and me leaving you behind, or you're beneath me, you're behind me, right? It's not love and care if I'm upset with you because you don't do what I say you should do with your life and your freedom. Okay. Next one. Hurt people hurt people. No. No. Just because you are hurt does not mean you get to hurt other people. It does not mean that you have permission to hurt other people. Innocent people are not your punching bag. Innocent people are not your punching bag. Just because you're having a bad day. I think Tabitha Brown says, what does she say when she's closing out? She goes like, I hope that you're having a good day. And even if you're not, don't go messing up nobody else's, right? Like that's what she says to that point. To that point, just because you're having a bad day, just because you feel bad about something, just because you're angry or whatever, doesn't mean you get to punch on people. And the reason why I have a problem with this phrase is because we say it as if it's like a sentence and that's it, right? Like, oh, well, hurt people. What can you do? Correct them. What do you mean? What can you do? Correct them. Tell them that you don't get to make other people your punching bag. I'll hold space for you as a friend so we can have a conversation. But I'm not going to allow you to hurt me just because you're hurt. And also, there are a lot of people who are hurt who don't hurt other people. It's not like this automatic, like I'm hurt, so I'm gonna hurt other people. I have a license. I'm sorry, I'm hurt. No, like there are a lot of hurt people, okay, who go out their way to make sure that they're not hurting other people just because they're hurting. I try really hard not to hurt people just because I'm hurting. I try really hard not to, if I'm having a bad day, to not ruin other people's day. It takes work, right? It takes energy and time. And sometimes you might need time if you're hurt, like not in isolation, but to communicate like, yo, I'm hurt right now. I'm hurting, but that requires vulnerability and bravery. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I said, innocent people are not your punching bag. And where is the care for the people hurt by these hurt people? Oh, well, this person punched me in the face. Well, such and such punched them in their face yesterday, right? Okay, but what about me? What they got to do with me? Right? Like, oh, this person called me out my name. Well, they're going through a hard time. But what about the person that's coming to you that's saying that they're hurt by that person who is going through a hard time? Where is the room made for those people to be centered and cared for and loved on? And I do think that, especially in friendships, we have a responsibility to hold our friends. We always want to throw around this word, accountable. We have a responsibility to hold our friends accountable for the harm that they cause other people that we love. We do. It's kind of part of the friendship contract, right? It's not just about the good times. It's also like, hey, how you talk to that person the other day? And I've had to do this in my own friendship circles, and it's hard and it sucks because a lot of people feel like you're not being loyal to them or something. But like, I've had to, like, in my we're no longer friends anymore, but like in my line sister group, like I had to be like, yo, like, what you did and said, that wasn't nice. That wasn't kind. And I don't think you really meant that. I don't think that's what you really meant to say. I think what you were trying to say is this, but how it came across, I'm gonna show you how that came across and how offensive and harmful that is. And people can take it or they don't, right? But like, I do feel a responsibility to be like, you know what? I think there might have been a better way to communicate that. I don't think you meant that. I think that you said that because you were hurt, and I think that you should have just led with like, that hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So where does this hurt go? We just tell people to suck it up and let it roll off your back. But that's just survival. We need confrontation. We need group. We need community efforts and community care. Again, nobody gets free by themselves. It's a group effort. Okay. Okay, take accountability. Let's take a break real quick. Let me answer this question. Hi, Built Like This podcast. Hello. How were you received after you spoke up like that? I wasn't received well. We're not friends anymore for a number of reasons. But I was in an abusive relationship with my friends. That's ultimately what it was. And for me, like, I always confront, when I confront people, the goal is always reconciliation. I'm not going to confront someone if the goal is not reconciliation. That's my hope. My hope is that we can come to a conclusion. We can come to some sort of like agreement. You feel me? Like, and we can continue to love each other and work through it, because humans are complicated. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. Sometimes people grew up in houses where people talk to people crazy and, talk to people disrespectfully. Let me be clear. They grew up in a household where people talk to people harshly and were very critical and very mean. So some people don't have the tools, right? So like, as a friend, I don't mind reflecting back to you, hey, I know what you meant to say, but this is how it came across. We all have blind spots. You feel me? And so in that relationship, they were not willing to consider their harm of other people. They just wanted to be right, and for me, I'm like, you can be right and still be wrong. Again, you can be very valid in your feelings, right? You can be very valid in how you feel and what's going on. And I don't mean feeling, because people say feelings too, to mean it in a very dismissive way, like feelings are not valid. Feelings are very valid, okay? Feelings are valid. That people are like, oh, feelings versus logic. I don't do that. Like, no, how you feel is legit. What happened to you is real. What you experienced is absolutely real. Like, and also, just because you experience that hurt doesn't mean you get to harm somebody who has nothing to do with why you're hurt in the first place. That's not fair. That's not kind. That's not kind. And you would not want nobody to do that to you. So in my mind, I'm thinking we all on the same page. But no, for them, it was like a lot of them felt like they were above reproach. And yeah, so we're no longer in a relationship, but thank you for asking. I appreciate that. And I agree. Having conflict shouldn't always have to end with the demise of a relationship. Exactly. Which is why I'm just like, I'm confronting you because I love you. This is the thing. Like, a lot of people see confrontation because it can be used as a weapon, but people see that as harm. And it's like, no, it really takes, it takes a lot for me to confront anybody about anything. I'm a recovering people pleaser. It's really hard for me to be confrontational. It is, because literally I've experienced people being in conflict, and then they say very disrespectful things to people. People say things you can't take back. People's lives are ruined and destroyed. And I also come from a context where when people argue, they end the relationship. Like, oh, we disagree, we can no longer be friends. I don't come from that kind of, I don't think like that. I think, oh, you have information that I did not consider. Thank you for bringing this to me, right? And there might still be my pride in myself, like, no, they're wrong, and But no, like, sometimes people can see things that you cannot see. You know what I mean? And so, yes, if you're in a relationship and you cannot confront someone for reconciliation, it's not a safe relationship. And so they were not safe for me. They were not safe for themselves. They were not safe for each other. Like, even though I was like the black sheep, I was the scapegoat, I should say, of our community. They all talked about each other. They all hated each other. Like, even when I was like excommunicated from the group, like, I never shared like what they said about each other, because I don't have any desire to see their friendships implode. You feel me? But like, I know that y'all don't like each other for real. And so for me, it was like, oh, I do need to leave this relationship, actually. Excuse me. Because y'all don't even like each other. So why are y'all hanging out together? Anyway, and I agree. Reconciliation is so hard with avoidant people. Agreed. It is really hard because you're trying so hard to get them to see something. You know what I mean? And you don't want to like keep pressing and prodding and hurting. But it's like, no, please consider this. Please. We can all kumbaya at this. But we got to, in order to get to the kumbaya, we got to go through the messy middle. And it's very messy. And a lot of people don't want mess. A lot of people want control. A lot of people, because it's scary when you're working through conflict and confrontation. It's scary because it's a very vulnerable position to be in, to be exposed and to say, you did this and it hurt me. That's a very vulnerable thing to do. And some people don't honor that vulnerability. And so a lot of us end up closing off like, okay, I'm no longer safe. I can't share my feelings. So now people are fighting about things that they're not even really fighting about. It's not even about this. It's about what's going on in here that you have not communicated. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Anyway. All right. Let's see. The next one. Oh yeah. Take accountability. Okay. I literally looked up the definition of accountability and we just be saying stuff. So let me share my screen real quick. The present, share screen. There I go again. Present, share screen, accountable. Okay. So this is from Oxford Languages. So accountable, required or expected to justify actions or decisions. Responsible. Explicable, understandable. Okay. And then I think I went to this, to Merriam-Webster. Answerable, explainable. That didn't really help. But anyway, let's stop sharing. Okay, take accountability. For what? When we say stuff like this to people, what do we want them to take accountability for? If you're asking me to take accountability for what someone did to harm me, I refuse. I am not responsible or accountable for the harm that other people cause me. Not doing it. Sorry. Not doing it. I think that takes the blame off of the person causing the harm in the first place. And it's saddling the person, the victim, the person who has been harmed with the weight of correcting and fixing everything. When they should be centered and cared for. And we should be holding the person doing the harm accountable. Because they are accountable to their community. Right? They should be, anyway, if they're in our communities. Okay. So I said take accountability for what? I will never hold myself accountable for the harm someone caused me for stuff I didn't do. Victim blaming while allowing the victimizer to escape responsibility. That's what it feels like. Like blaming the victim for being in a situation where they were able to be harmed rather than putting all that effort and energy to the person who really deserves it. And really what that shows me is that either you're afraid of the victimizer, you're afraid of the person doing harm, which same, right? You don't know how to navigate those hard conversations. You don't know how to hold people accountable. You feel me? Like, which is okay. It's not a crime to not know how to actually handle conflict. Most of us were not taught how to deal with conflict. Most of us don't know what we're doing. You feel me? So it's okay to not know. What's not okay though, is you placing the blame on the person who was harmed and saying you should have known better. If you knew better, you wouldn't have done this. If you were smart, if you had better self-esteem about yourself, that's unhelpful. That is unproductive. It is unwise to do and say. What takes more effort, again, is correcting the bad thing that happened. Is correcting the person who did the bad thing. So I said, we don't know how to hold others responsible. So we go to the easiest person, the victim. The victim is the easiest person to hold accountable. Even with the law. The law. A lot of victims never see justice. We know how the system works. A lot of us never see justice. And so because we know justice, we have given up on justice. Now it's the responsibility of the person being harmed to avoid harm happening to them. So I wrote down this other definition of accountability. It says obligated to explain, justify, and take responsibility for one's actions and to answer to someone such as a person with more authority, right? The heart of it is bad. We're no one's authority figure. We're not their boss. We're not signing any checks, okay? We are no one's authority figure. We are, though, their community, their advocate, right? We are their friend. We're their loved one. This idea, like even this idea of like, take accountability. It's like, it's very, it's very demeaning, and it's like forcing something on them that's not theirs to have. It's forcing something on them that's not theirs. It's not their shame to own. Why would I be ashamed of someone hurting me ever? Why would I ever be ashamed of that? That's not my shame. And also, nobody has to answer to me. The person doing the harm, though, should be answering to the entire community, the collective. Yes, ideally, in a perfect world, right? The community would be holding the person trespassing accountable, but we don't do that. We don't do that. So the person being harmed never gets justice, never gets centered, never gets the love and the care that they need, the restoration that they need, the encouragement. Okay. Sorry. I said, why do the harm need to be accountable over care, refuge, help, kindness? Like instead of saying they need to be held accountable, what they really need, that's what I was trying to say, is care, refuge, help, kindness, justice. We're blaming them for being ignorant or being kind, like ignorant as in like not knowing any better, being kind, expecting the same thing from other people that they give. We're blaming them for stuff that's not their fault. All right, the next one. We're almost done, I promise. Victim mentality. That's something else that we kind of overuse. But these are my thoughts. I said, some people are victims. Some people don't have victim mentality. They are victims and they've never been witnessed. They've never been validated or affirmed. And so a lot of people carry it's almost like carrying things, right? Like you're holding stuff. It's like bag lady. That's what I'm thinking, like Erica Badu. You're holding a lot of things, right? That you should never have to carry by yourself. Community is supposed to come here. Let me hold this for you. Let me help you. Here, put this down. Here, let me help you. And nobody has witnessed their pain and their trauma. Nobody has validated that what happened to them should not have happened to them, right? And so, of course, you have a lot of people with unprocessed trauma and pain because nobody told them that it's okay to be angry. Nobody told them that it's okay to hurt, that what happened to them should not have happened to them. So anyway, I said some people are victims. If you have been taken advantage of, if you have been harmed, you are a victim. But a lot of us don't want to be called victims, which is, I get it. Take power however you want to take power. Because somehow we've been tricked into believing that being a victim is wrong. That being a victim means that we're not smart. Being a victim means that we are naive. Being a victim means that we are unloved, thrown away. That somehow something is wrong with us for being victimized by somebody else. So we think victim makes us weak, dumb, or wrong. Why would that ever make sense? Victims are never centered or cared for. People lack empathy for victims. They don't want to be labeled as a victim because of the stigma that comes along with it. Victims need to be witnessed, centered, and cared for. The truth is, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to center victims. We don't know how to care for them because a lot of us were victims and nobody centered us and cared for us. We're all learning here. You feel me? Like we all don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do that. So instead of actually caring for people and giving them the space that they need and the resources that they need, because we don't have it for ourselves, we say, oh, you just got a victim mentality. Something's always wrong with you. Yeah. Yeah. Every day we complain about something. It don't have to be like major, but every day there is some discomfort that we experience. It's the human experience. It's complicated. You feel me? The human experience is beautiful and it's complicated. The truth is we haven't been cared for. So we move on and expect others to do the same. Right? A lot of us have not been centered or cared for as a victim. And so we don't know how to center or care for other people who are victims. And people told us to move on and keep pushing, let it roll off your back like a duck. We're not ducks, we're humans, right? Like we're humans. Ducks were given feathers that are hydrophobic so that it rolls off their back. I'm a human being with feelings. Feelings don't roll off your back. Feelings penetrate. Like words penetrate. People's actions penetrate. I'm a soft, fleshy being. Yes, that hurts. You feel me? And so because we don't have the tools for ourselves, we tell other people just to move on. And we expect everybody to do that. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, 1 second. I need to drink some more water. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Ooh, I'm talking a lot. Okay. I said it's also easier to convince the victim they're wrong than it is to hold the victimizer accountable, even legally. We said that already. We don't know what true justice even looks like. A lot of us, especially Black folks, let's talk about it. We don't know what justice really looks like. And so we're trying our best to mold this together and try to, piecing it together. But we don't know what we don't know what we're doing. We don't know. Oh, thank you, QB. I appreciate that. Oh, Code N. Hold on one second. Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you, Code N. I appreciate that. Bless you for teaching us today. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for correcting me, QB. You're right. I should not apologize for hydrating and taking care of myself. Thank you. Thank you. I think there's this pressure when you're live or talking to people in video that it has to come across as very professional and you have to whatever. But yeah, I'm human. So thank you for that. Thank you for acknowledging my humanity. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. The other truth, right, is that, so I said we don't know what true justice looks like. For far too long, people have gotten away with harming us. And especially if you're a Black woman, okay? Nobody, the world does not seem to care about Black women globally. And so we don't know what justice looks like. Everybody's telling us that it's our fault, right? If we are essayed, oh, you shouldn't have been wearing that. You shouldn't have been hanging out back then, right? And so we internalize all this stuff it was my fault because I should not have worn that. I should not have been hanging out with this person. I should not have X, Y, and Z, right? We blame ourselves. A lot of things are not brought to justice. So we actually have no real model to look at to see what justice really looks like. And so we're fashioning this together in real time. And also our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, our great aunts and them, they didn't have room. It's almost like they didn't have the privilege of being a victim, if that even makes sense, right? They didn't have the privilege because of how they looked, how they appeared, where they were, depending on your location, and your family, where you grew up in. You might not have even had the privilege to be hey, I've been victimized. You feel me? Because life has to go on. We're surviving. We don't have time. We don't have time, honey. We don't have time. You know what I mean? We don't have resources. Therapy. Who's talking about that? Back in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. Who's talking about that? So yeah, so a lot of us we're first generation everything. First generation trying to figure it out, put it together, help our parents and our grandparents and our siblings and our children. It's a lot. We have to have grace with each other, have grace for our elders, our ancestors. We got to have grace. No one knows what they're doing. We're trying our best. But yes, but also, because we don't know what justice looks like, we don't know how to actually seek out justice and make things just. I think that makes sense. Okay. Another reason, we're not safe. We're not safe places for victims. We have been taught not to be safe places for ourselves. We've been taught not to be, this kind of goes with what we're talking about just 2 seconds ago, right? We've been taught not to be safe places for ourselves. So how are we going to be safe places for other people? We be beating ourselves up in our mind. It's not enough. That looks tacky. It's not perfect enough. If you do this and you fail, everybody's going to hate you, right? We're just bombarding ourselves with messaging that we've gotten from other people. And so when people come to us who might be, oh, I need help. It's girl, we don't have time for that. Get it together, right? When that's not what they need. And so we can almost accidentally harm other people. You feel me? Because we're not a safe place for ourselves. So, okay. We have an empathy problem globally, just generally, right? We have an empathy problem. That's another reason why. And I'm not saying that these things. Oh, yay! Hi, Invincible Summer. Hello. I'm glad to see you. I'm not saying that all these reasons have to be the reason, but these are just reasons that I can think of. It might be something else too, right? But I also think that we are in an empathy deficit. We literally we watch people be humiliated for entertainment. We see people who are harmed, and instead of trying to see their humanity, we make fun of them, right? So I think in general, we have an empathy problem. And so because of that, saying someone has a victim mentality is easier than actually what do you need? What are these wounds? What's happening? Why are you bleeding? Who cut you? We say things like, who hurt you? We weaponize a loving question. Who hurt you? And we say that to people who obviously are traumatized. Who hurt you? And it's so evil and deceptive and mean. Who hurt you? You don't care who hurt them. Why are you asking? Why? To shame them. not to shame them, to be like, oh, who hurt you? Oh, well, because you really don't care, right? It really is just like, oh, I'm shaming you because you've gone through harmful situations and you're obviously exhibiting some behaviors of a traumatized person. And it really is just like disqualifying people's experiences. Like, we have an empathy problem here. That's one of the reasons. Another reason, we don't want to be bothered. we just don't want to be bothered. We be fed up. We be tired. Oh my gosh, you keep calling me about the same thing. Oh my gosh, like this is real, right? These are real feelings. And also, just as annoyed as you are hearing about it, they're annoyed with living with it, right? Like, just as annoyed as you are hearing about it, or hurt or frustrated or whatever feeling there is beneath there, they have to live this. They have to live this. Oh no. Yeah. That part. You need to talk to a therapist makes me livid. Yeah. Because they don't care. They're not going to give you the resources. They're not going to refer you to nobody. And also, right, it's not just therapy. It's also friends. It's also hobbies. It's also family. Like, it's almost like the way that we do things in the West is like we throw people away. Like, we give people away. We wash our hands of situations and say, oh, you need professional help, right? When it's never just professional help. It's professional help and X, Y, and Z, right? I can't go to therapy to save myself from capitalism. Okay, like, okay, I'm going to therapy every week and I'm still broke, honey. And I'm still traumatized. You feel me? Like, and I'm still living in fear. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what community is also for. Yes, I'm not a professional, and I'm not saying that you should be out there just like being a therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like, for your friends, but we are little counselors. Even though we don't have the credentials, right? We still give counsel to people. We still give advice. We still say things, right? Like, oh, I think X, Y, and Z, like, this might be helpful, or this is what happened in my situation. Like, this is all counsel. All of that is counseling. It's not just left to the professional person. Stop throwing people away. Yes, if you don't have the capacity, communicate that. If you don't have the tools, communicate that. If this is above your head, and be like, you know what? I don't know what to do with this, honestly. You know, be honest about that. But stop saying, oh, you have a victim mentality. Stop. You're definitely not a therapist. Stop telling people that. Do you even know what that means? Have you done the research, the papers, written the papers, done the peer-reviewed studies? Like, you know, like all the things that therapists have to go through, and counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, all the things that they have to go through. Like, there are also like counselors that focus on specifically trauma, people being victimized. Like, there are like, and we just flippantly say these things, and it might be something else. Yes, that person is bleeding because someone hurt them. That's what's going on. They don't have victim mentality. They're a victim. They're a victim. And again, nuance, right? Because I'm not talking about people who weaponize their victim. They're being victimized to harm you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that, because that's manipulation. That's dangerous. That's violence. I'm talking about people who literally be going through stuff and just need help. I don't know what to do. There are people who go through more things than the average person. They can't, like, some of them people cannot help that. I'm one of them people. When I felt so bad because in this friend group, like, I felt like I was just too much. Like, my life was just too much for them. And meanwhile, there were things that were happening to me that I could not control, like being SA'd or being abused, being brokenhearted, like all this stuff that I was going through. And my friends telling me, like, oh, they didn't outrightly say like I have a victim mentality, but they definitely communicated to me. They're like, oh, you're just too much. Girl, I'm hanging on. First of all, I'm not even talking about my stuff. You ask me about my stuff. If you ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Like, actually, and we're friends, I'm going to be honest with you. But whenever I would respond with the honesty, it's like, oh, girl, it's just too much. It's too much. Okay, then why did you ask? Right? Anyway. So yes. But the truth is, sometimes we don't want to be bothered, right? And we think that if we suffered in silence, so should everybody else. Because we had to suffer in silence, so should they. One thing I wrote down is that we are all victims. We have all been victimized, and we have all gone unwitnessed. A lot of people, a lot of us have been victimized and never sought justice, never sought it because we knew nothing would come from it. But also, we never saw it. Even when we did ask for help, we realized, oh, nobody cares. And so we internalize that and we put it on to other people. Nobody cares, sis. So you got to put that on your shoulder and keep on pushing. Sorry. Don't nobody care about Black women. Sorry. No one's coming to save us. Sorry. You got to save yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let me see. All right, let me come down. Okay. So the last thing I wrote down is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I am so tired of hearing that. I'm so tired of hearing that. I wrote a whole song about it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger is a lie. For some people, if we're talking about exercising, sure. If we're talking about, learning new material and taking a class or whatever, and it being, it being difficult, but you learn some new stuff, you gain some muscle. Okay, great, right? But we're not talking about trauma. We're not talking about people being harmed. Because what doesn't kill you traumatizes you, scars you for life, injures you beyond recognition. Sometimes what doesn't kill you leaves you unable to recognize yourself. We try to explain hard things away, right? But that's actually not helpful. It's not helpful to say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger in a response to someone saying, I'm weak, I'm broken, I'm hurting. Help me, please. Oh, well, you got to find your own strength. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. No. Again, let's use a real life example. If I'm in a car crash and literally I'm holding on for dear life, they have to use the jaws of life to get you out the car or whatever. You've sustained injuries. You're injured. And so that's like going to a person with physical injuries while they're in the hospital bed fighting for their life and saying, you'll be fine. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. This person may never walk again. This person might have some like physical like injuries, like literally like you can see scars on people's faces. People are scarred for life. I have scars on my body from when I was a kid. I'll talk about that. Like my last time, I don't know if you're still in here, but like I was talking about when I was riding my bike and my bike slammed into a tree. I still got scars on my leg from that. Like a keloid. That's like, it was a deep wound. And it will be there for the rest of my life. Unless like I want to have it removed. It's not that serious to me. So like, it'll be there for the rest of my life. Right. And so like, if someone were to say to me like, oh, it's fine. Like it didn't kill you, so it'll make you stronger. But like, if I broke my leg or something, or you know what I'm saying? If I had to get something amputated, I don't know. This is really dramatic, right? I would never be the same. So the same way that for some reason, we can understand things that we can see. If we would never say that to somebody with physical ailments, why would we ever say that to someone with mental ailments or emotional ailments? They're injured too. People, okay, you're thinking about me. You're injured too. They're injured too. People die of heartbreak. That happens. People have whole heart attacks from their heart being broken. People get sick in their body from hurting, from being stressed out. Black women specifically, like, and women specifically, we're like the highest for autoimmune diseases because we're so stressed out, living under a patriarchy. So yeah, what didn't kill me gave me ailment X. Yeah, this part, hurry and heal so you can get home and back to work. That's exactly what it is, QB. Exactly. Like it hurts. It hurts when what doesn't kill you? Because now you're like, oh, I'm supposed to look at this as a blessing somehow. That like, now I'm like initiated into like strength. When really things that break your heart takes your strength away. You need community. Again, all of this can be summed up by stop saying stuff and be helpful. Literally, everything we talked about. Be a better community member. And I said that to myself. That part, St. Cloverton James Jones, I have fibroids from stress. Yes. Fibroids. Absolutely. People are suffering. People are suffering in ways that you cannot imagine. They don't need to hear from you what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Because what doesn't kill you actually adds on more stuff to fight. Okay? So now I'm trying to shrink fibroids. Now I'm trying to heal my body. Now I'm trying to heal my liver. Like, there's so many things. Okay. Overall, this is the last message I left. I said, stop over spiritualizing oppression. Shout out to Mercer Price. I don't know if you're still here too, but You mentioned that earlier. You're not experiencing harmful situations or oppression because your vibe is low. You know, people are like, oh, just be high vibes and everything will be fine. Just think positively and see the silver lining and just choose happiness, choose joy. Like, you know, like if you do all these positive things, then you'll be fine. So we're going to ignore oppression. We're going to ignore whole systems working against me, right? We're going to ignore all of that. It's not because your vibe is low for being honest about your circumstances. And I'm going to read y'all one thing that I wrote down. It's like a little essay that I did because it's talking about the law of attraction based on something that I read. Again, nuanced conversation. I don't know that much about law of attraction, but this line triggered me and I'm going to share it with you. But yeah, it's not because your vibe is low, right? It's honest. Be honest. And I also think that by being honest, you get to the solve better. If we're all just pretending, aw, thank you, Yolanda. If we're all just pretending that everything is fine, nothing gets fixed. People continue to get harmed because we're turning a blind eye to whatever is negative. Oh, I don't see it. I don't see what's happening over there, so it doesn't exist. So whole groups of people are being destroyed and demolished because we're high vibe and we don't care about that. Like, we become complicit. We become easier to manipulate. We become easier to control. Don't just ignore it's like the Wizard of Oz scene. Shout out to my mom. My mom loves the Wizard of Oz. It's like one of her favorite movies. But like where he's like, don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It's the same thing. We're being used. It almost feels like a lot of the spiritual community, it's not everybody, but some of the spiritual community is using spirituality to make us their little minions and easier to control. And easier to, as in like, don't stand up for what's right. Don't point out what's wrong, because if you point out what's wrong, more bad stuff is going to come to you. Okay. So let me, as we close, let me read y'all this little essay that I wrote. But yes. Right. Nothing to see here. Exactly. Nothing to see here. Hey, Nate, it's good to see you. Nate says, it's like weightlifting. If you suddenly are hit with a weight you can't handle, it will injure you. Great example. The key to building up strength is support, mentorship, and taking life slow. I love that. I don't even want to talk spirituality with people because I fully believe I'm here to act on behalf of karma in a lot of instances. That's fair. All right, let me pull up. Oh, sorry, Nate, I didn't see this. But this system throws too much too fast. Exactly. Like it's a system designed for it to move so fast, right? It's designed to move fast so that we can't catch our breath and actually see what's happening. We're all disoriented, trying to keep up, right? Because that's human-like. We're nature. Nature is slow, but because everything is going fast, we can't even see what's really happening until it's too late. Like when we go fast, we're more likely to be injured. Like you're talking about lifting weights, right? More likely to be injured, more likely to cause harm when we act fast or speak fast. There is wisdom in speaking slowly and taking a second. Okay, let me hold on. Like if a conversation's getting heated, let me calm down. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Because I don't want to say something I can't take back. I don't want to further injure you or cause you harm when it's unnecessary. You know? So yeah, slow is love. Like we talk about here. Slow is love. Okay. So let me read y'all this thing that I wrote down. It has, this has been playing in the background this whole time. The Keon, for those who just got here, we talked about the Keon Henderson, the pastor, that guy, the pastor who basically said, if you give money to the poor, you won't become wealthy, but if you tithe, then you will. Yeah, that was awful. That was awful. I don't know if I should play it one more time. Maybe let me play it one more time for the people who just got here. It's like a minute long. Hold on 1 sec. Let me see if let me refresh for context. And let me share the screen. Yes. I can't with you. But yeah, slow is love. Yes. Let me see. Share screen. All right. Yeah, okay, let me see.
How many of you have been a blessing to other people even when you didn't have a whole lot yourself?
Okay, this is the response.
Now I got to clear something up. It is a blessing when you do something for the poor. It's a blessing when you do something for the poor. The Bible says that when you give to the poor, it is as if you are lending to the Lord. How many of you have been a blessing to other people even when you didn't have a whole lot yourself?
Hold on, I think the internet was unstable. Okay, I think it's back. Okay, so let me show you the original video that he's responding to. Hold on one sec. All right.
Bible says,
Or there's somebody on the street talking about I did my job. God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Bible.
Okay, we're gonna start over because it's playing from the middle.
Charity does not bring wealth. What? Only the tithe does that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna preach on it.
Okay, here we go.
Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something, the poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself. So when you give $1 to somebody on the street talking about I did my job, God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Bible. Charity does not bring wealth. What? Only the tithe does that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna preach on it.
Okay. Every time I see that, my blood pressure rises. That is so harmful. It is disgusting. It's despicable. It's dishonorable. And it's also a lie. It's also a lie. And also, one's intention should not be to get rich off of the poor. Are we okay? Exactly, Nate. Hello? Charity is not about you. That's the point. So yeah, all the spiritual nonsense and then throwing God in the mix and saying, and like these things, it's so sad. And we talked about this before. It's so sad because like Yvonne was talking about, people in the video are like, yes, amen, amen. But people are amening because they probably go without, right? And they think like, oh, the reason why I'm poor is because I'm helping out my sister so-and-so. Oh, the reason why I'm poor is X, Y, and Z. Like, no, this is the danger of over spiritualizing oppression. People go out their way to take advantage of people who really do want to make changes. And what he's really saying is pay me. Let's be clear. He's saying pay me, pay my church. Because the money, even though we're taught to tithe, but let's be clear that money goes to people in the church. Okay, let's be clear. It goes to the lights. It goes to the people working there. It goes to the pastor, all the stuff. So he's really communicating from the pulpit and using scripture wrongly, by the way, and saying, hey, like, instead of giving to the poor people, the people who need your money, the people who need you and your support, right? And it's also vilifying and like making the poor people the villain. Okay. So let me read y'all this real quick and then we're going to get up out of here. I'm glad that we're all on the same page. I see the comments. Y'all are like, yeah, no, this is awful. This is awful. Yeah, girl. It's crazy. It's like, it's evil. I keep saying crazy as like a colloquial term, and I'm trying to correct that because I'm not trying to be ableist. Like, it's just such a quick, I can just grab that word quickly, but let me process. That is evil. That is vile. It's deceptive. It's a lie. Literally saying, oh, Jesus said the poor will be with you always. Right. So take care of the poor. Huh? What's going on? And also scripture says how you treat me, how you treat the least of these, meaning the poor, the disenfranchised, is how you treat me, talking about Jesus. So let me clarify that for all the Christians who might be like, oh, well, no. Hello. Apparently he was asking people for money for a jet too. Like, again, ever since I saw him shush that woman, and that was the first time I ever saw him. I didn't follow him before that either, to be fair. Let me be fair. I didn't follow him before that. The first time I heard of him, so I probably have a biased opinion about him anyway. I don't like him in general. But that was all I needed to see. Him hushing that woman who was having an emotional response at a church service. And because she's in the choir stand and it's mic'd up, it has mics hanging from the ceiling so everybody can be heard. And she might have been holding a mic. She was holding it away from her face, lifting her hands and praising God, and he hushed her. Ever since then, he's been on my list. I was like, he don't like women. He don't like people. He don't like people. All right. So let me read y'all what I wrote down in my journal. So I was reading this book. I'm not going to say the name because whatever. It's just my own thoughts. Take it how you want to take it. But there was this line that I read, and it basically said, nothing can occur in your life experience without your invitation of it through your thought. So this was a belief about like the law of attraction. And so it says again, nothing can occur in your life experience without your invitation of it through your thought. Okay? So that was what this writing was based on. And it's just like a bunch of questions. So here we go. And again, nuance and grace. But this is what I said. I said, nothing can occur in your life experience without your invitation of it through your thought. How? When violent forces control a lot of stuff. Is that spiritual bypassing? Is it still meritocracy? If I do good or think good, good things will happen to me. Bad things happen to everyone. They didn't attract that to their lives. Is it just a way to cope? To feel like we're in control? Is it an oversimplification that allows us to feel that we have more power over our circumstances than we really do? A lot of spiritual stuff is about getting and obtaining more. What are the actual characteristics of spirit? Love, care, consideration, abundance. How are you being abundant from someone's lack when spirit is involved? Is the law of attraction only for wealthy white people? Does that mean that poor and black folks attracted all the ills they have experienced? Or is it the law of assumption that gave colonizers permission to take things that didn't belong to them? Are we over spiritualizing oppression? Is that any different than manifest destiny? Why in spirit work are you centered and not the collective, not the community, the greater communities of the world? Are you the only chosen one? Would spirit lead you to oppress, enslave, exploit other manifestations of spirit, i.e. people? Or is it that you only have access to the spirit? I don't trust your spirit. While there are certain things I can learn and glean from you, this work cannot be the spirit that I know if my abundance and prosperity come at the expenses of others. The spirit I know is generous, kind, content, communal, peaceful. If your spirit is causing death and destruction, you can have your law of attraction. I want to attract, not to hoard or be greedy, but I want to attract to encourage, inspire, heal, and commune. If your spirit, I know the truth. I know this nefarious spirit who has clothed themselves in light, but internally is utter darkness. The spirit tells us that all the evil we experience is our own fault, that people are not evil, do not do evil. It convinces us that we are in way more control than we think we are, but surviving is a group project. Surviving is a group project. No one is made on their own. This spirit lies and fills its followers with pride and arrogance to make them think they've earned anything on their own. It took an entire community to get me to where I am today. It also victim blames survivors of capitalism, racism, misogyny, misogynoir, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, colorism, texturism, all the things created by those who follow this same spirit. In turn, we learn to blame others for our own misfortune. In turn, we learn to blame others for their own misfortune, as if there aren't systems in place that rely on misfortune to make their own fortune. They talk about abundance, as if this entire nation wasn't started with the creation of lack and scarcity, where there was abundance. They don't create their own abundance. They manipulate nature's abundant resources to make money off of lack. That is low vibrational. That is evil. I know the spirit. The spirit has many faces, but the heart is the same. At some point, the mask slips, and you see the spirit for who they really are. Arrogance, ego, pride, fear, idolatry, selfishness, gluttony, entitlement, greed. The same spirit behind colonization, manifest destiny, imperialism, is the same spirit talking through the face of law of attraction. It gives us the false sense that we are in control, that we can avoid bad things happening to us, and if they do happen, there must be a reason why heartbreak has befallen someone. And since that's their wounds to carry alone, we should not be bothered. Real abundance comes from community, from sharing, from being in the feelings. The law of attraction tells us that if we don't think about it, it won't happen to us. It tells us that if we fear something happening to us, mainly because of trauma or real lived experiences or terror, we deserve for it to happen to us again, because our thoughts brought on more trauma. That in order for us to be happy, our greatest bet is to never have been traumatized in the first place. We are punished for being left out, starved, abused, stolen from, and dehumanized. Humans were dehumanized by humans, then told that they deserved it simply because they are an unfortunate character, an extra. People who follow the law of attraction often use the misfortunes of other people to feel better about themselves, to say, well, my life is going well, so I'm a good person. I'm the one bringing good things into my own life, even though an underpaid food worker gave you your food today. The law of attraction is actually discouraging, depressing, and disheartening, and classist. It destroys hope in those who don't have riches or an easy life. The law of attraction allows the bad guys to feel good about their bad and the victims to feel bad about their bad being done to them. The many indigenous tribes did not manifest colonization, rape, or death. They could not have imagined such horrors. The Irish could not have attracted starvation and imperialism. The law of attraction is white elitism dressed in spiritual word salad. Let me say that again. The law of attraction is white elitism dressed in spiritual word salad. It's nonsense. It's used to justify harm, greed, and ambition at the high price of others' lives. Though law of attraction may help us to feel more expansive because it comes at a price of other people's contraction or lack or limitation, at some point, these same limitations will be placed on themselves. You cannot law of attraction yourself out of the successful system of poverty, oppression, apathy, and violence. Of course, the more things you love, the happier you'll become, the more beautiful your life's experience. But what about those trapped in poverty, sickness, and hatred? What about those who don't have the money, the skin, the access to happiness, especially when happy experiences are gatekept by the already wealthy? You need a park pass, for example, to enter a park, and you need money to get a park pass. Who can readily experience the all there is when the city keeps closing the community centers? When nature, which was free for all to enjoy, is fenced in behind $20 paywall? How can you attract what man determines you don't deserve? When the same man creates systems to keep you out altogether. You are not what you attract. You are. And by being you, things will be attracted to you, both good and bad. You did not will for this to happen. The truth is both freeing and humbling. Sometimes things happen by perceived chance. All things in life are orchestrated. Some things we never plan for. How we react to those things is in our control. How we metabolize our experiences, what we take away and learn from, how we move forward, that is our work. That is our power. It's too much responsibility placed on the shoulders of a person who has been harmed. That ain't the law of attraction, that's oppression. It seeks to empower the already powerful, ease their guilt while silencing their victims. Spirit exists outside of our human limitations. To think that we are powerful enough to put off bad experiences, to tell ourselves that we are deserving of good things at the cost of harm to others is not spiritual. That is human. That is evil. That is limiting. That is not abundant if someone else has to suffer to make someone wealthy or well. Sometimes bad things happen because people have bad intentions, because life is as random as it is beautiful. Sometimes the pain we're experiencing is a result of regretting our own decisions, and sometimes that pain we experience is the impact of someone else's bad decisions or ideas. This is a struggle with being human. This is a struggle with trying to be God. It's too much to bear while knowing so little, without being able to predict the future, control the actions of others, read the minds and intentions of people who lie, people who don't even know themselves. Being human is scary, but it's also freeing. Sometimes life sucks and it's not your fault. Sometimes life just sucks and it's not your fault. This is why we should live and move in a way that centers the global community's well-being above our own. Because if everybody is saved, so are we. Nothing beneficial comes from considering your own needs and desires only. We all need one another's help, one another's wisdom, encouragement, protection, grace, and love. That is how you save the world. That is how you experience a long, joyous, and fulfilling life. The law of attraction tells us to gaslight ourselves into getting what we want. They punish us for feeling or experiencing lack, for acknowledging what actually is. I'm not being a good manifester if I acknowledge that I have $5 in my bank account, or if my boss is awful, or if I complain about my abusive partner. Apparently, by complaining about these things, I bring more of these things upon myself. And the last thing I said is, and who made these white people masters of universal law? Where are their credentials? So that's it. That's what I wrote down. Excuse me real quick. Woo, okay. So that was long. That was long, but when I tell you I was reading that book and my thumbs were, this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. Because yeah, that line triggered me. Like that line of, what is it? Let's see. Nothing can occur in your life experience without your invitation of it through your thought. That is victim blaming. So if somebody was SA'd, right? If somebody was SA'd, did they invite that to happen? Like, at what point does that stop? Like, that can't be said as a complete thought. That is not a complete thought. Like, there's more. There has to be more. And then I'm reading, I'm like, there's not more? Like, this is said as a definitive statement that if bad things happen to you, it's because you willed for it to happen, that you invited it to happen. You feel me? And I disagree. And I just want to free you from that and let you know that if you were ever struggling with that, because I was like, well, okay, so I'm thinking about good things. I'm thinking about happy things, but bad things keep happening. Yeah, because there are bad people with bad intentions, bad systems, right? But we can make the best out of what we have. But again, we have to care about everybody's well-being. Even as we're talking about like voting, feel how you want to feel about voting. That's up to you. But like, when I vote, I'm voting for the well-being of everyone in my community. It's not just about me. I'm not in America on my own. Are we okay? What's going on? Right? Like, I don't understand. So I think it just takes a reframe, I should say, not refrain like music, but a reframing of how we think, how we process things in trauma, and also like understanding that it's okay if you don't have the answers, but we got to stop over spiritualizing oppression and victim blaming. So that's basically what I wrote down. Sorry, I'm like burping. But that's basically what I wrote down. Exactly. There's no way. And hi, Ray Rose. It's good to see you. Happy Thursday to you. Could you imagine? Yeah, exactly. A PDF file rationalizing harming a kid because the kid was attracted. Exactly. And this is where it gets dangerous. You feel me? Like this over spiritualization is very dangerous. It's harmful. So yeah, so let me see. I saw a question and I just wanted to answer. I think it was, yes, okay. Hold on one sec. I thought it was from Maya Spikes Writes, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on one sec. Okay, yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just say it. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Hold on. Cause I didn't wanna, bad mouth any things, but it really is just a line. Like, let's see. It's the book that everybody talks about. It's by Esther and Jerry Hicks. It's called Ask and It Is Given, Learning to Manifest Your Desires. Number one New York Times bestselling authors, Esther and Jerry Hicks, The Teaching of Abraham. So it's like the teaching of Abraham Hicks. And that's why I say it's nuanced, because some people get good stuff from it. I think it's good. But like when you make definitive statements like that, nah. But this is the book, Ask and It's Given. I got this far. Hold on. This is backwards. I got this far and I just stopped. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. But yeah, this is the book that I was trying to read because it was recommended to me by somebody else that I enjoy, somebody else in my community. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a go. Because the first time I tried to read this, it was hard. It was a hard read. Like my soul was like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this. And I was like, no, we have to become enlightened. We have to, read challenging things and things that challenge our perspective and stuff like that. And then reading it, I was like, yeah, nah. I'm not like, let me see. Let's see. Okay, here's something else, right? Like, however, if there is something you desire that you currently do not have, and you put your attention upon your current state of not having it, then law of attraction will continue to match that not having it vibration. So you will continue to not have that which you desire. That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so because I'm like, oh, I'm hungry, I ain't got no food in my fridge. So I'm just going to keep being hungry with no food in my fridge because I'm acknowledging that I don't have food in my fridge. It's harmful, right? Like, and I understand, like, with books like these, it's hard to be nuanced because, like, it's already so thick, right? And there's only so much that you can say bound in a book. But, like, no, like, this stuff is just, like, this stuff is dangerous. It's harmful. So I didn't want to, I wasn't trying to badmouth them, but, like, it's all good, Maya. No worries. It's okay. No worries. No need to apologize. I was thinking about, I was like, should I share? I was like, I don't want to badmouth them or people who read or follow this person. But because this person, Esther Hicks, is like really, really popular in the manifestation and like law of attraction space, like all that stuff. But yeah, when I was reading, I was just like, I can't force myself to keep reading this because I know life is way more complicated than this. Sometimes things just suck. Sometimes things are not your fault. Some things are just bad. And like, in order to get to the thing that you need, you have to acknowledge that you don't have it. So how am I get the thing I need without acknowledging that I don't have it? I'm just supposed to will my way into having food in my fridge? No, I go to community. I say, hey, y'all, community, I'm hungry. I don't have food. Can I borrow $5? Or can I not even borrow? Can someone take me grocery shopping if they have it, right? Or hey, can you take me to the thing for my job interview because I don't have a car? Like that's how you get the thing done. And I think that a lot of this stuff puts a lot of energy and focus on like the individual versus the community. And again, we all need community. We all need help. You feel me? Like it's not just just will for it and it'll happen. Anyway. But yeah, and I also didn't want to give a critique of the book without having read it. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to be fair, but no, I have not read this whole thing. To be clear, I have not read it. There might be more nuance, but from what I read from that line, I said, nah, no gracias. No gracias. So yes. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. But that's all I wanted to say today, y'all. I really want to shout out. Thank you, Married to the Journey. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your generosity. That means a lot to me. Thank you, Peculiar Glow. It's good to see you. Oh my gosh. It's good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for your generosity. And thank you, Code N. Bless you for teaching us today. Thank you. Thank you for blessing me. Thank you for blessing us. I appreciate that. Thank you. That part, Mara, hello. We're not factoring in a lot of things. That's why I said a lot of stuff is like ableist. A lot of it is just like classist. You know what I'm saying? It's just inconsiderate. What if I really want the thing, but my mental health is barely giving me the energy to move? Exactly. It's never that simple. You know what I'm saying? But yes. Hi, Raz. You can have both of them. The ish would be returned so quick. I tried and my ancestors. Really? Okay. So I know I'm not tripping. Because I was like literally trying to read the story. Or the story. This is not a story. Trying to read the book. It was so hard. Like it was like, I really don't want to do this, but I'm just doing this because, because it was recommended for me to do. And the person who recommended it had good intentions, like love them down. You know what I mean? And it worked for them. It helped them. So who am I to say? But for me, I was just like, nah, girl, I know too much. I know too much about like real life stuff, Aw, thank you, mommy. Thanks, mom. But yes, let's see. Hi, Anonymous. Sometimes spiritually people act like there aren't systems stopping us from having our basic needs met. Exactly. And my thing is, okay, why can't you manifest the end of world hunger? What's happening, right? Like, why is the spirit always about you achieving these financial goals and making millions and, having $1 billion industry? Why is it never about the well-being of other people? I don't know that spirit. I'm not friends with that. I'm not friendly with that kind of spirit that consumes and takes and inspires you to keep consuming and taking from people who don't have. Where is that at? If it was that simple, you see what I'm saying? Anyway, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, All Things Delicia. I hope I'm saying that right. Or Delicia. I love that. I appreciate you. Oh, and thank you. Yes. That's my Cash App. If you want a Cash App, no pressure. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being so kind to each other in the chat. Thank you for stopping by. But I hope that you were able to get something from this. Thank you for sharing your own thoughts. I can't wait to go back into the comment section and look at your comments, because all of y'all, I saw at the peak side of my eye, because I was trying to get through like this long list because we're 2.5 hours in. But I really wanted to get through it. But I really do want to see what y'all have to say. So, thank you, Chica. Thank you. So yes, I hope that you all have a wonderful afternoon. I don't know what I'm finna do. Probably eat lunch and chill. So yes. Oh, I will. Thank you. All right. Have a wonderful evening or afternoon. It's only 2:00. Have a wonderful afternoon, y'all. Thank y'all. Love y'all. Please love each other. First of all, love yourselves. Let's start there. Love yourselves. Love each other. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to Nate. Thank you to Jamile. I just saw you. I just saw you. Okay, there you go. Thank you to Jamile. Thank you to Level Up Single Mom. Thank you for keeping us safe. And thank you all for being kind to each other in the chat. Yes, but please love yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. We are all trying our best, okay? Gentleness, grace, kindness, and call some stuff out if you see it. Judge that stuff. Judge it correctly, all right? And yes, community is everything. Yes, be well, community. Thank you, Daughter Nature. It's good to see you. And have a good one, y'all. And thanks, Mom, for coming. Yay. All right, bye.